Chapter 1068. The mercenary leader controlled the giant ape puppet, struggling to resist the opponent's attack. If not for his puppet, which was much stronger, he would probably have been killed by the few agile personal battle dolls that cooperated with him. The giant ape puppet was, of course, unparalleled, but the mercenary leader controlling it was not the original owner, and his strength was not enough. He was even heavily injured, unable to use even 1/10 of his combat power. It was already very rare that the mercenary leader could control the giant ape puppet to last until now. "Stop fighting!" General Lei Meng let out an angry roar. "The real opponent is this little mercenary." "What?" The personal guards were stunned. Still not understanding what was going on, the personal guards quickly retreated. Only the giant ape puppet was left. It was still standing alone on the battlefield. The mercenary leader seemed to want to chase, unwilling to let the personal guards go back at the last moment, but he could not. He was a little unwilling. The giant ape puppet arm stretched forward, but his spirit could no longer support it. With a rumble, he fell to the ground, shaking up a cloud of dust. When the enemy left, he was already exhausted. His body, which was already heavily injured, could no longer support it, and he directly fainted. The personal guards had already noticed the abnormality, and they all controlled the puppets to surround him. At the feet of their puppet, there were also puppet beasts that continuously surrounded Yu Yang, who was sitting on the blanket and watching the show, so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. The couple was very surprised at their recovery. Looking at their daughter, who was quietly lying at Yu Yang's feet, with a ruddy complexion, they could not believe their eyes. But this was indeed reality, not a dream. What was going on? Could it be that God had shown himself? The couple saw the ferocious puppet beasts around them, and became very anxious. They wanted to persuade Yu Yang to leave with their daughter, but they were afraid that with his status, they would offend the noble. They really did not know how to face Yu Yang, their savior. They wanted to express their gratitude, but they also hoped that he would leave with their daughter as soon as possible, and they were even more afraid that if they spoke, they would anger him. Yu Yang did not speak, nor did he make any unusual movements. Other than kneeling in front of him and begging, this couple who had just recovered from their injuries inexplicably didn't know what else she could do. "Back then, I asked you to change into bright clothes, wear a skirt, and dance for me. Then, you could enjoy a good life. Not only could your precious daughter get rid of slavery and become a commoner, your man could also get a formal employment contract. But you didn't listen to me. You insisted on being a coolie miner who couldn't even have a full meal even if he died of exhaustion. You insisted on having your whole family suffer together with you. Could integrity be used as food? Can chastity be eaten?" Looking at the woman covered in blood, General Lei Meng heaved a long sigh and said, "In fact, with your figure and all other aspects, if you put on a skirt and dress up your little face, it would be pretty good. Why are you so stubborn? It was fine to be with such a man, but why did she have to endure it with him? If you weren't so stubborn back then, your life could have been very comfortable. Actually, don't blame others or the world for being unfair. You asked for it, and it started from the day you rejected it." "Bah!" This was the woman's silent reply. "Very good, you have a character. I never force people. Unlike those who use force, I like the process of a wild horse being tamed." General Lei Meng threw his head back and laughed, but his eyes were more focused on Yu Yang, who was sitting quietly, than on the woman. "I will always give you a chance. There will be a time when you come back and beg me. Our family would rather die than submit." The man made the final declaration for his wife. "I will deal with your family last. Now I want to talk to this young friend." General Lei Meng had already sized up Yu Yang more than 10 times. Unfortunately, he found nothing. He did not find any flaw other than a novice mercenary, nor did he find any information other than a calm and collected man. As Yu Yang sat there, General Lei Meng felt that he was like a stone that blocked his heart, or a tree that propped up his stomach against his throat, making him feel very uncomfortable. Facing this young man, he had 1,000 words in his heart, but he couldn't say them. He wanted to make a move, but the other waited quietly like a fish. He wanted to get close, but the other's lips curled in mockery. He couldn't lose his temper, and he couldn't laugh or scold. He really didn't know how to deal with this strange young man. Well hidden. I didn't expect that I, Lei Meng, who has been a hunter all my life, would make such a mistake. In order to save his face, General Lei Meng sighed. He changed his original sitting posture, stood up from the huge lion-shaped puppet, and looked at Yu Yang up and down, as if he wanted to really know Yu Yang. Yu Yang still did not say a word. It was as if he was in the empty mountain spirit valley, surrounded by a cold, quiet, and empty world. General Lei Meng clapped his hands and laughed. There are not many young people who are so low-key, and even fewer who are so good at keeping their temper. For this, I, Lei Meng, admire you a little. Why don't we be friends? I am Lei Meng, and I make a living under Prince Renaud. Because of my fiery temper, I am also known as the Roaring Lion. I am an uncouth man, and I speak and act like that. But though I am uncouth, I like to make friends. Prince Renaud said that one more friend is better than one more enemy. I always keep that in mind. How about this? As long as you are willing to accept my friendship at first sight, then everything that happened today never happened. He was not a fool. To be able to get to such a high position, his brain must be good. At first glance, it was obvious that Yu Yang was different. He guessed that this young man had a big backer behind him. Otherwise, his words and actions could not be so calm. On the other hand, the miraculous ability to cure the slave girl and her parents also reflected his uniqueness. It was absolutely impossible for ordinary people to have such abilities. Even if they did, they could not use it in the human valley. Such a strange and mysterious young man, it was best not to make an enemy of him. It was the first time in nearly a decade that General Lei Meng was so tolerant. For the first time, he tried to suppress his anger. Make friends. Such words coming from the tyrant General Lei Meng was like a miracle. Not only the slave miners, but also the guards who had followed him for many years. It was also the first time they heard of it. You don't deserve it. However, Yu Yang's answer made General Lei Meng feel as if he had been slapped hard in the face, and the humiliation in his heart reached the extreme. He touched his face and felt that it was burning. He looked at the people around him and found that everyone was looking at him in astonishment. Only then did he know that he didn't hear wrongly. That kid really did reject him and even said such humiliating words like, "You're not worthy." General Lei Meng tried to control his hands. He was really afraid that he would roar and jump up like a madman, turning the whole mining area into ruins. No, General Lei Meng himself was a little surprised. How could he be so calm? If it were any other time, not to mention humiliation, he would have turned the world upside down with just a word of rebuttal. As the personal guards of General Lei Meng, their master was humiliated, and they felt even more uncomfortable than death. You don't deserve it. What kind of humiliation is this? General Lei Meng, who had a fiery temper, took the initiative to humble himself and extend a hand of friendship in an attempt to reach an understanding. However, it was only in exchange for the other side's ruthless, "You don't deserve it. Kill, 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 kill." General Lei Meng's personal guards were so angry that even their voices were distorted. They all charged at Yu Yang. "Stop!" A mighty voice exploded out like a clap of thunder, causing everyone's ears to buzz. A shadow, faster than lightning, arrived at the top of the crowd from 1,000 meters away in the blink of an eye. With a deafening rumble, it landed on the field. It was a humanoid war puppet that was 15 meters tall. At first glance, it was obvious that it was made by a master-level craftsman. It was incomparably exquisite, and there were eye-catching silver maple symbols on both sides of its shoulders. Those who knew about war puppets could tell at a glance that it was one of the 3 most famous war puppets in Silver Maple City, the Sword Dancer. It was a gold-level war puppet known for its agility, speed, and ambush ability. Compared to the giant ape war puppet, the sword dancer was a level higher. As for the bronze-level mass-produced war puppets of General Lei Meng's personal guards, it was even more incomparable. Before the sword dancer came to a stop, a shadow immediately jumped out. He raised his voice to stop it for the second time. Stop. The person who came was naturally the 10th son of Silver Maple City's lord, who was eager to please Yu Yang. He was also the light temple master of the central shrine, Zhonghua. Baron Zhonghua, is this your friend? I was wondering who was so arrogant as to pick a fight in front of me, Lei Meng. So it's your man. General Lei Meng was very displeased when he saw Zhonghua coming in majestically. Although the mine was divided into 3 parts, for the past 10 years, Prince Renault's men had been in charge of it. Previously, when Zhonghua had sent someone to warn him that the owner of the Star Diamond Castle had returned and wanted to hand it over, General Lei Meng was very angry. You've already eaten the fat in your stomach. Can you spit it out? Now that he saw Zhonghua coming, General Lei Meng suddenly had a feeling of enlightenment. He understood now. It was this Zhonghua who wanted to pick a fight. Then he would take over the mine. This sword ornament mercenary, as well as that group of hot-blooded mercenaries, were all just Zhonghua's pawns. If it weren't for Zhonghua's support, how could a poor mercenary have a treasure like the giant ape battle puppet? It was really too ridiculous. General Lei Meng, I've always respected you, but there's something I, Zhonghua, have to say first. There are some people that even you can't touch, such as this little brother in front of you. Seeing that Lei Meng said that Yu Yang was his friend, Zhonghua was happy to misunderstand. Anyway, what he wanted to do was to firmly tie this descendant of the Eastern Immortal Tribe to his war chariot. As for whether he would offend General Lei Meng or Prince Renault, who was behind General Lei Meng, there was no need to think about it. Not to mention that Prince Renault would not easily become enemies with Silver Maple City. Even if he did, the struggle for supremacy in the Human Valley was nothing. Compared to the Heaven Realm and the Central Shrine, the Human Valley was not even worth a fart. Besides, with the Eastern Immortal Tribe, he was not afraid of Ji Wuri and the Temple Supreme, so why should he be afraid of General Lei Meng and Prince Renault? Being a general in the Human Valley made him so arrogant. Did he really think that the descendants of the Eastern Immortal Tribe were easy to bully? Zhonghua was 100% sure that without him, General Lei Meng would also lose. But if he took the initiative and took the blame, he would give the other a good impression of loyalty. For this, Zhonghua wished that General Lei Meng could immediately attack Yu Yang, so that he would have an excuse to show off his skills. Come on, if you dare to attack, I will dare to stop you. What bullshit alliance, it's used for betrayal. The world was big, and nothing could compare to the investment in the descendants of the Eastern Immortal Tribe. What if I want to? General Lei Meng was completely enraged. If you want to swallow the mine, just say it. Why are you still acting tough? Dare? Try me. Zhonghua sneered. If you dare to attack, then don't blame me for stepping on your corpse. In order to inherit the throne of the Central Shrine, even Ji Wuri would topple over, let alone a small general like you. I usually give you some face when I speak, but that's because I'm humble and I don't show it. You idiot, do you really think you're a big shot? Let's fight. If this show doesn't have an intense and physical fight, it's impossible to watch. Yu Yang suggested, as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. Chapter 1069. Not only had Zhonghua come, but he was also riding on one of the 3 battle avatars of Silver Maple City, the Sword Dancer. Although General Lei Meng was furious, he was, after all, a man of character. He knew when to yield and when to stand tall. If he was not as strong as his opponent, he would accept it even if he knew he could not. In any case, Zhonghua was supported by the city lord of Silver Maple City. In other words, even if Zhonghua took over the mine, he would not be able to run away. General Lei Meng waved his hand and dismissed his guards, not giving Zhong Hua an excuse to lose his temper. This battle was not worth it for a few slaves and a dozen mercenaries. Baron Zhong Hua, I will report this matter to Prince Renaud personally when I return. Although General Lei Meng admitted defeat, he indicated that the matter was not over yet. Welcome. Zhong Hua is waiting for you at any time. If Lei Meng did not make a move, Zhong Hua did not want to take the initiative to fight. After all, he had just entered Human Valley and had yet to gain a firm foothold. He had yet to display his great abilities, so it was better not to provoke Prince Renaud for the time being. If Zhong Hua had lived in Human Valley for a few years and already possessed a certain level of strength, it would be a piece of cake for him to kill Lei Meng in order to curry favor with Yu Yang. The problem was that he had only been here for a little more than 3 months, and had just become a baron in the life assessment ceremony. He had nothing except the support of the city lord of Silver Maple City, who was a loyal ally of Prince Renaud. In other words, Lei Meng was not stupid enough to turn against him. It was not appropriate for Zhong Hua to make a move, because, although the people in the Human Valley could be unreasonable, at least they had to maintain their appearances. I'm very sorry about the mine, but I will do my best. Leave it to me. Zhong Hua was talking about his failure to help Yu Yang, the owner of the Star Diamond Castle, reclaim the mine. In the ears of others, they thought he was apologizing for the hostility Yu Yang had received in the mine. It doesn't matter. I can do some things myself. After all, it is my responsibility, but it may take some time. Yu Yang smiled. No matter what, I will stand by your side. Zhong Hua expressed that he would protect Yu Yang, his little brother. If he knew that the super-powerful demon dragon wanted to take Yu Yang as his little brother, he would have been embarrassed. Perhaps Zhong Hua would have died of dehydration from sweating. However, the current him was trying his best to rope in Yu Yang, the descendant of the Eastern Immortal tribe. What was the point of shamelessly calling himself a big brother? Besides, how many people in Heavenly Realm were qualified to be the big brother of a descendant of the Eastern Immortal tribe? Lei Meng would be, would to say that, would be the Hua, would be the descendant of the clans the descendant. Hua, who had Meng. Heaven. In who had. General Lei Meng looked at him coldly. He said, "This matter is not over." Then, he prepared to lead his team back to the mine. Unexpectedly, Yu Yang nodded and replied, "That's what I wanted to say." General Lei Meng was furious. It was fine if Zhong Hua bullied him, but you, a mercenary who had just arrived and reincarnated as a pauper, dared to speak so arrogantly? If it weren't for Zhong Hua, and he was worried that this was a pawn to lure him into action, General Lei Meng really wanted to kill Yu Yang, who had a very arrogant attitude. "The 3 of you follow me." Yu Yang looked at the couple who were hugging their daughter and kissing each other, and then glanced at the mercenaries behind them. "If you want, you can follow me. Even the slaves in the mine, if you have the courage, follow me. I can help you get rid of your slave status and let you officially become a free citizen." The first sentence was nothing. After General Lei Meng and Zhong Hua came, if they didn't fight, the couple and the little slave girl would definitely be lost. The dozen mercenaries were Zhong Hua's pawns, and it was estimated that they wouldn't be able to keep them. Besides, it was useless to keep them, and it would be used against them. However, he never thought that Yu Yang would say the last words. Especially the last sentence about freeing the slaves and granting them the status of commoners. These words were even more shocking to him. F***ck, who do you think you are? Even a baron like Zhong Hua doesn't have the right to say such a thing, let alone a small ornamental sword mercenary like you. Unless it was a lord with real power and independent management of the territory, who could give the slaves the status of a commoner while freeing them, and at the same time announce that he accepted them as citizens, only such a powerful figure was qualified to say this. As the 10th son of the Lord of Silver Maple City, Zhonghua was the runner-up selected in the last life assessment ceremony. The fiefdom that he could obtain. It was just a small village with a radius of less than 5 miles and a population of less than 30 people. In the face of thousands of slaves, they were powerless. How could a mere mercenary with a sword dare to open his mouth and talk about freeing people from slavery? Did he really think that the rules of Human Valley were child's play? This was a serious rule that had been established since ancient times. It was protected by the will of the gods and the power of the law. Those who were not qualified to make promises would not only become the laughingstock of Human Valley, but were also very likely to be severely punished by the law. Especially the promise of thousands of people, the impact was even greater, and the possibility of triggering the law was almost 100%. Did I hear it wrong? Haha, I can't wait to witness this miracle. General Lei Meng was stunned at first, and then he laughed wildly. Ahahahaha! A group of personal guards also convulsed with laughter, tears splashing everywhere. Idiot! Zhonghua snorted coldly. Only he knew that Yu Yang had the qualifications to do so. This was because Yu Yang, who had changed his name to Titan in Human Valley, was not only the original owner of the mines and the slaves in the mines. He was also the heir of the Star Diamond Castle, the rightful lord and baron. To other people, it was extremely difficult to exempt thousands of slaves and grant them the status of commoners. However, to the original owner of the Star Diamond Castle, it was just a matter of a word. If Yu Yang was in a good mood, he could exempt them from their slave status and grant them freedom and identity, turning them into commoners. He was the owner, he could do whatever he wanted, and no one else could interfere. Zhonghua would not reveal the truth, and only looked at General Lei Meng and his many lackeys with an idiotic gaze. He did not even need to think with his brain. Would an ordinary person dare to say such a thing? If he dared to say it, he was definitely not an ordinary person. Young master, no, old master, can you really exempt us from our slave status and grant us the status of commoners? Those slave miners did not really care about life and death, because living was worse than death for them. However, they did not want to die, and they could not die, because as the main labor force of the family, they had to live painfully to support the whole family. For the sake of more family members, they had to live on. They themselves were pitiful slaves, but they hoped that one day their descendants would not be slaves, but would become free commoners, and become mercenaries who would fight for their own lives. However, as the descendants of slaves, they could only be slaves from birth, and it was incomparably hopeless. Slaves were their masters' cows and horses that could speak. They were the private property that enjoyed the power of life and death. If a slave wanted to escape from this hopeless fate, there was only one way, and that was to break away from slavery and obtain the status of commoners. Then, under the acceptance of a certain lord, they would become his subjects. Although this wasn't true freedom, no one would have the power to decide life and death. They would no longer be able to stand on their own 2 feet, and their children would no longer be the lowliest of slaves. Commoners enjoyed a limited amount of power. If they had money, they could go into business, become mercenaries, join the army, and earn merits. They could become truly free people. They could break away from slavery and become commoners. This was the dream of every slave. Not only for themselves, but also for their families and descendants, in order to get rid of the pain of thousands of generations, in order to obtain the status of commoners, in order to breathe freedom, slaves would not hesitate to die. I don't want to repeat myself. If you are willing to come with me, you will know immediately. If you want to bring your families, then wait here for me for 3 months. No one believed Yu Yang's words except for Zhonghua, because it was too shocking. Even the husband and wife, who had been saved by him in a daze, could not believe their own ears. However, when Yu Yang made a move, no one doubted him anymore. He walked up to the mercenary leader, who had lost 90% of his body and his pupils dilated. He stretched out his hand and dripped a drop of spirit liquid from the mercenary leader's mouth. In an instant, the mercenary leader's body recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye in the young mercenary's arms. He stood up inexplicably and looked at his own hands in disbelief. I'm alive? Impossible. I'm already dead. How could this be possible? My injuries, how could they be healed? God's due? You actually gave God's due to a mercenary. Zhonghua almost died of cold sweat when he saw this. Although he knew that Yu Yang was a descendant of the Eastern Immortal tribe and had countless treasures, he did not think that he would give such a treasure like God's due to a mercenary, right? Mercenaries were basically ant. What was he trying to do with such a waste? It's okay, I have a few big bottles of this thing. Yu Yang said modestly that he often drank this kind of thing as a cold drink. Zhonghua was completely speechless after hearing this. F***CKU. General Lei Meng was so jealous that he almost bled from his 7 orifices. A few drops of God's due could make the leaders of the human valley fight fiercely. What did a few bottles of God's due mean? Did you think that things like God's due and God's blood were just a drizzle from the sky? Thinking about how the little slave girl and the couple instantly recovered and came back to life, he finally understood the reason. It turned out that this brat had dripped God's due into their mouths. Plop! The young mercenary knelt down. This was a salute, this was a gesture of fear. Plop! The leader of the mercenaries also knelt down. He was also scared, but he was even more shocked and touched. If he could, he wanted to dig out God due from his mouth and save it so that he could exchange it for a large amount of heaven crystals so that everyone could live a good life, but he could do nothing about the fact that God due had long since become the energy for his body to recover. When he knelt down, the leader of the mercenaries, who was as strong as steel, noticed that at some point in time there were 2 streams of tears on his face. Plop, plop, plop. The couple who were holding their daughter, the mercenaries who were covered in blood from the battle, and the slaves who had been watching suddenly realized that a miracle had happened. Except for Zhonghua, General Lei Meng, and a few of their personal guards. The rest all knelt down in fear. General Lei Meng secretly cursed. He did not know whether it was a blessing or a curse to offend this eccentric young man who had countless drops of God's due. No wonder Zhonghua was so protective of him. It turned out that this young man was not an ordinary person. He had only disguised himself as a mercenary with ornamental swords and came to watch the show. No wonder he was so calm even when surrounded by countless strong enemies. It turned out that he was a big shot, who had seen the world and no one could afford to offend him. I have something to do and will come back in 3 months. Yu Yang ignored the gazes of others and only nodded to Zhonghua, which made Zhonghua feel proud. After saying this, a huge and mysterious ancient rune circle appeared under Yu Yang's feet. As soon as this rune circle flashed, the whole ground began to tremble. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, a huge earth puppet, hundreds of meters tall, drilled out of the ground in a shocking manner. The ancient rune circle shone brilliantly like a sword. It was so sharp that it was hard for people to look at it directly. Only Zhonghua could see it clearly. Even General Lei Meng could barely see its shape. It was impossible for others to open their eyes under that light. Unknowingly, the ancient rune circle had split into countless rune circles, layer upon layer, and the mysterious ancient rune circle on the earth puppet's face did not change. Only certain areas had become the earth puppet's 5 sense organs and 7 orifices. The 300-meter-tall earth puppet gradually shrunk and turned into a 200-meter-tall rock puppet amidst the light. Under Zhonghua's amazement and Lei Meng's fearful gaze, it had turned into a 100-meter-tall obsidian giant war puppet. Its grade had also changed from the original bronze-ranked earth puppet and silver-ranked rock puppet to the current terrifying gold rank. Even though they were both gold tier, Zhonghua's 15-meter-tall sword dancer, one of the 3 silver maple war dolls, could only be compared to the 100-meter-tall obsidian giant war puppet made from obsidian itself. As for the various puppets on General Lei Meng's side, they were all blown up into pieces. Making war puppets. General Lei Meng had seen it many times. However, Yu Yang had casually drawn a runic circle on the ground and created a puppet out of thin air. Then, he injected some mysterious energy into it, causing it to be born as if it was alive, and even able to continuously increase its level. Not only had Lei Meng never seen such a thing, he had never even dreamed of such a thing. Damn that Zhong Hua. He's got a big thigh, but he's pretending to be a bad guy. General Lei Meng had never hated a person so much in his life. What he hated was not Yu Yang, who had brought him fear, but Zhong Hua, who had not reported what had happened and instead added insult to injury. Now, he didn't know who Yu Yang was, but he knew that this young man couldn't be provoked. If he did, he would bring about the extermination of his family. But he didn't completely reject today's meeting, because if he handled this matter well, maybe Prince Renaud would praise him and reward him. However, Zhong Hua, who was an ally on the surface, had used the excuse that he was a villain to deliberately curry favor with the other party. General Lei Meng would never forgive such vile behavior in his life. Betrayal, this was a blatant betrayal of a brother, an ally, and a basic code of conduct. Betrayal, my ass! Zhong Hua sneered. This world needed a contrast. Who asked you to jump out and be someone else's background? If I didn't betray you and step on your back to rise to power, would I have introduced Titan to you as a descendant of the Eastern Immortal Tribe? What an idiot! The obsidian giant war puppet stood up. But Yu Yang was long gone. When the obsidian giant slowly walked in a direction, the couple holding their daughters, the mercenaries, and the cheering slave miners followed it excitedly. In their eyes, in their hearts, this obsidian giant was undoubtedly him, the light that he had left for everyone, even if it meant death. They had to follow him to the end. Besides, who else in the world would be so kind as to give them God-due, freedom, hope, and a future besides him? After a long time, a guard asked weakly, "The slaves are all gone. What happened to the mine?" "Let's go. This matter must be reported to the prince." General Lei Meng glared at Zhong Hua and quickly led his team away. Now that nothing else mattered, the best course of action was to report the news to his superiors as soon as possible. With the obsidian giant around, it was impossible to chase back the slave. The obsidian giant could crush all the puppet beasts and the war puppets with one finger. Besides, he could have as many slaves as he wanted. Why would he chase them back? It was a waste of rice. Wonderful. He is indeed a descendant of the Eastern Immortal Tribe. With the appearance of the obsidian giant, Zhong Hua's suspicion of Yu Yang was completely eliminated. Now, he would fight anyone who dared to doubt Yu Yang. Young master's puppetry skills are really amazing. Du Li, who had been hiding in the dark, could not help but marvel at the walking obsidian giant. If it had been carefully crafted, it would have been amazing, but it would not have mattered. But a casual creation could have such terrifying power. This was simply a miracle created by the hands of the legendary god who could create life. Chapter 1070. After Yu Yang returned to the Star Diamond Castle, he did not wait for Du Li and directly entered the grimoire world. He believed that Du Li and Su Shan would make good arrangements for how to deal with the obsidian giant and the group of people following it. With such outstanding abilities, what else did Yu Yang have to worry about, since they were able to maintain the normal operation of the Star Diamond Castle despite the covetous eyes of the enemies and the constant internal and external troubles for the past 10 years? If there was anything, he could just let them do it. Listening to Yu Yang talk about the mining area, the kind-hearted Yu sympathized with the couple and the little slave girl. Xia Yi, who had seen a similar situation in the Thunder Fortress, also nodded in agreement with Yu Yang's act of taking slaves. She knew that there was nothing worse than the life of a slave in the world, and nothing more desperate than the life of a slave. Not to mention anything else, Yu Yang's act of helping the slaves was definitely a plus in Xia Yi's heart, although she was stubborn and often quarreled with him. However, since Yu Yang had done such a thing, she couldn't help but feel proud of him in her heart. If Zhonghua didn't go, then you'd better do something. Fallen Beauty had always been worried about Yu Yang's safety because force could not be used in the human valley. I won't be beaten up, but pretending to be a noble to save people is unlikely. Princess Sisai was also in a rare good mood and joked with Yu Yang. She also praised Yu Yang's actions today. Even if you don't want to expose the secret power of the humanoid divine weapon, it's best to let Tao Tai and the star Scorpio follow them. It's a waste of time for them to do nothing all day. And that lazy little guy, if you don't order him around, he'll forget what kind of existence he is. Inan was a good-tempered little girl, but for the sake of Yu Yang's safety, she couldn't help but act coquettishly. She raised her little fist and pretended to be angry, looking very cute. Human Valley could not use force. The will of the gods and the power of the laws could only allow people to use more tools to maintain the social order of ordinary people, not allowing any power outside of the restrictions to destroy the existence of Human Valley. Yu Yang had already tested it long ago. If he wanted to use force, he would have to surpass the ancient laws. Otherwise, it was impossible. Even if he wanted to use puppet beasts or battle dolls, he would need the permission of the god of war statue's remnant consciousness. At the same time, the owner of the battle avatar could not casually attack others. The power of the battle avatar could only be used when the other party was harming the existence of Human Valley or stealing their benefit. The war avatars of Human Valley were definitely not created to plunder wealth. On the contrary, the original purpose of their creation was to protect lives and personal property, and to maintain the normal operation of Human Valley. But even the strictest will laws would have loopholes. However, were they discovered and used by others? In Human Valley, grimoires could not be summoned, guardian war beasts could not be summoned, and even contracted battle dolls could not be used. On the surface, everyone could only live the ordinary life of ordinary people. However, after testing, Yu Yang and Princess Sisai found that there were still loopholes in Human Valley that could be exploited. For example, it was said that human divine weapons, earth divine weapons, and heaven divine weapons were extremely rare in the heavenly realm. Heaven, earth, and human divine weapons. No matter what kind of life they were, in Human Valley, they were all classified as weapons or tools. Unlike battle dolls and puppet beasts, human divine weapons, earth divine weapons, and heaven divine weapons had their own independent consciousness and free will. They were intelligent weapons, tools with personality, and not puppets that could be controlled by people. In other words, Tao Tai, Star Scorpion, and Golden Beast in Yu Yang's hands could all move freely. However, Ika, who was one with Yu Yang's life, could not be summoned at will like them. What surprised Yu Yang and Princess Sisai the most was that the Dragon Lady sisters, Yao and Yu, whether they were in human form or inhuman form, could also move freely in Human Valley, and their combat power was not reduced at all. Yu Yang did not bring them along because he did not want to attract attention, so he kept them in the grimoire world to learn and cultivate with everyone. If they don't bring it, it's fine to bring Ling Ling. Fallen Beauty felt that it was not good for Yu Yang to have no one to take care of him. The Ling Ling she was talking about was naturally the ancient guide elf who was good friends with Duo Duo, the wonderful metal life form that flew out of the ancient golden coffin. She was hiding behind Duo Duo and eavesdropping. When she heard Fallen Beauty mention her, she immediately ran away timidly, as if Yu Yang was a big tiger that would eat her at any time. Forget it, if he were to count on her, he might as well count on Optimus Prime and Megatron, those coolie puppets. In the end, they could also help with mining and filling the soil. No need. Today, I accidentally discovered a secret in the mining area. Yu Yang had a flash of inspiration and projected the ancient rune circle into the earth. Combining it with a very small amount of chaos energy, He directly created a quasi-living body, the obsidian giant. But it was certain that the same move could not be achieved in the heaven realm. Even if the obsidian giant could be created, it would not have a quasi-living body, and it would not have the kind of awakening that was close to human consciousness. Whether it was the heaven realm or Tong Tian Tower, puppet war dolls, unless they were at least Saint Tier, could not have consciousness. In the human valley, Yu Yang had long discovered a strange thing. That was, the mercenaries, soldiers, and even ordinary people could actually control war dolls and puppet beasts. War dolls and puppet beasts without consciousness would not listen to their master's orders, especially when it came to such a complicated command as control. Although they had no consciousness, they must have a trace of consciousness to make the puppet beasts and war dolls listen to their orders. With this suspicion, after observing the battle between the guards and mercenaries in the mining area, Yu Yang tried it himself and succeeded in creating an unprecedented quasi-living body, the obsidian giant, with a half-awakened consciousness. This obsidian giant had no consciousness, and its mind was a mess. But it could faithfully carry out any order issued by Yu Yang, no matter how complicated it was, without question and in an orderly manner. A gold-ranked obsidian giant can have consciousness? Even if it's not a consciousness of its own, it's still a good discovery. Princess Sisai was immediately interested when she heard the news. It should be known that among the various abilities that Yu Yang was good at, runes were his specialty, and it was difficult for others to reach. If something like projecting the ancient rune circle onto the earth to directly create an obsidian giant, then Yu Yang would be able to create an endless army of puppets in the human valley, and each puppet would not be inferior to the first obsidian giant he created. Projecting it onto the earth to become an obsidian giant, what would it become if it was projected somewhere else? Why did the power of the ancient runes not weaken in the human valley, but faintly increase instead? Sickly Beauty, who rarely spoke, raised this question. Creating puppets may be one of the secrets of life that needs to be understood in the human valley. Princess Sisai's little face was filled with wisdom. Almost all the puppets outside are of the metal element. If the earth can create an obsidian giant that is related to the earth element, then it is possible to successfully create other elements, such as water, wind, fire, and so on. Impatience felt that if Yu Yang could successfully create puppets based on other elements, then it would be a real success. Inan suddenly came to a realization. If we use water, wind, and fire to create giants, then wouldn't it be invincible in the world? Sister Sky Law could condense Sky Law thunder, and if we create a Sky Law giant on that basis, who in the human valley could match it? You're really daring. Yu Yang was overjoyed. In fact, he had already guessed that the control of the laws in the human valley was mainly about balance. The obsidian giant could be created. But this thing was equivalent to exploiting loopholes in the laws, similar to some cheats in games. If it was used without limit, sooner or later people would find out, and eventually all of them would be banned. If it was used in a small area, it would not affect the balance of the human valley, and it would not destroy the existence of the human valley, so it should not matter. Within the laws, it did not matter if a small loophole was exploited. Unrestrained overdraft, that was definitely not possible. Listening to Yu Yang's explanation, everyone felt that it made sense. Although Yu Yang's guess might not be completely correct, no one wanted to take the risk of being restricted by the laws. It's definitely not possible to create too many and affect the balance of the human valley, but a few should be fine. Yu estimated that creating 3 or 4 should not be a big problem. Only 3 or 4 is too little. It's best to create one of each element. If it doesn't work, let's not use it in the human valley, and use it outside the heaven realm. There are no restrictions in the human valley. The puppets created can only be used in the human valley, and cannot be used outside the heaven realm. Fallen Beauty felt that if Yu Yang had the time, it would be best to create more than 100. In the future, when he brought them outside, it would be a powerful puppet army. It's not necessary to create most of them and pile them in the warehouse. Instead of that, it's better to understand the real mystery of why the puppets in the human valley awaken their consciousness easily. Princess Sisai disagreed with that kind of action. Once it's done, there might even be a low reward. Anan was excited when she heard that. Hooray! Yubing seemed to have already seen her brother's success. Why don't we dig all the soil in the human valley back to Tong Tian Tower, and make a puppet like the obsidian giant for each of us in the future? Bao Er was even more whimsical. All of you go back to sleep. The impatience brought out the aura of the Sky Law Empress. All the little brats who delayed the Empress's ascension would be spanked if they did not leave. This was the adults' time, kids had no place. The Empress was majestic. Bao Er and the rest were so scared that they stuck out their tongues and made faces to show that they were afraid. They then retreated back to their beds and continued to fight with their pillows. It would probably take at least half an hour before they could fall asleep. We can't help, let's go back to rest too. Southern Demon King quietly nudged Fallen Beauty. Not only the two of them, but also Drunken Cat, Xia Yi and the rest. They also understood that Yu Yang had to conquer Princess Sisai, the tigress. Seeing that Yu Yu and Sickly Beauty had left, Princess Sisai clenched her fist. She was annoyed that everyone had no sense of brotherhood and left her alone to fight against Yu Yang, the big pervert. Without saying a word, she threw a punch at him. Why are you smiling like you're asking for a beating? Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? You can't afford to hurt a girl with those 6 records, inherent skill. Yu Yang was in tears. Fortunately, the arrogant tigress was only fierce towards Yu Yang in front of others. Now that everyone had left and he was the only one left, she was not fierce at all. Sometimes she would even be a little gentle. Idiot, why didn't you dodge? Forget it, I didn't use any strength just now. Don't pretend to be dead, okay? You don't know how much you deserved a beating when you smiled just now. Forget about me, even that Xuan Yo who loves you a lot would probably give you a punch. Let me say this first, I didn't ask for your help because I couldn't fuse with the prison Emperor Divine Sword. I only gave you a chance because Sister Yu was begging me and I had to control the time. Yu Yang didn't say a word, he only held Tigress's hand lightly. Now was not the time to talk. Didn't you hear that silence is better than words in the middle of the night? Princess Sisai saw this bad guy coming closer, his lips slowly pressing down, as if he was going to kiss her at any time. Flustered, she blocked him with her small hands. Everyone is still awake, what are you doing? Do you think I'll let you kiss me if you don't say anything and pretend to be obedient? Yu Yang still didn't say a word, but his hands had already hugged her shoulders lightly. His breath blew on her face, making her feel slightly warm. Her stiff body gradually softened. Her beautiful tiger eyes that were originally glaring at him also slowly closed, her eyes hazy. Her small hands were still pushing him away, but in her heart, she wanted him to get closer. The bad guy who was always angry suddenly forgave him. No matter how hateful he was before, now that he was gentle, she couldn't be angry at him at all. Maybe he was her nemesis in life. Anyway, it wasn't the first time he took advantage of her. Princess Sisai tried hard to find an excuse for herself. Before he kissed her, she had to find a reasonable excuse. Anyway, she would never admit that she actually longed for his kiss. Anyway, the person who made her life so troublesome was this hateful idiot in front of her. She opened her small white teeth and wanted to bite Yu Yang's lips to punish him. She didn't expect that Yu Yang would make the first move. It hurts. Princess Sisai was stunned. Why did he bite her? Looking at Yu Yang's fleeing figure, she immediately understood that he was purposely teasing her. She immediately became angry. Bastard, it's fine if you kiss me, but you dare to bite me? It's a misunderstanding, I don't want to bite you. Yu Yang explained as he ran. It's just that a certain Sundra princess is really too lovable, I can't help but bite her cute little mouth, it's completely instinctive. Why did you pull out your sword? She's going to die. Save me. A certain Sundra princess who was chasing after him angrily shouted. It's also instinctive for me to kill you, don't run if you have the guts. Communication is a good start. Fallen Beauty and Southern Demon King, who were watching from afar, looked at each other and smiled. Biting is considered communication? Little Anan didn't understand. That's right. Sometimes, biting is the best way to communicate. Luohua Beauty explained seriously. I'm tired, everyone should rest early too. Hearing that this topic was not suitable for children, Yu quickly ran back to her room. Chapter 1071. The problem of helping Princess Sisai completely fuse with the prison Emperor Divine Sword was not solved in the end. Tigress's anger was not a small matter. Yu Yang had no choice but to retreat and temporarily stop his plan. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't help but bite Hunyo in the heat of passion, the situation would probably be better. Of course, this kind of momentary impulse also had its benefits. Unknowingly, it had changed the originally tense atmosphere between the two of them. After Princess Qian Qian, who had chased after Yu Yang with her sword, had vented her anger, the awkwardness in her heart had suddenly disappeared. She had also dispelled her initial arrogance and rejection towards Yu Yang's help. Although after the incident, she had repeatedly expressed to everyone that she would not easily forgive him, everyone could see that this tigress was no longer angry. Tigress's temper was like a summer storm. It came quickly, but it left quickly. According to Xiaonu's gossip, Princess Sisai, who chased after Yu Yang with her sword last night, actually cooked an exquisite breakfast for Yu Yang this morning. Everyone secretly laughed when they heard this. Actually, everyone knew that Princess Sisai cared a lot about her image in Yu Yang's heart. Otherwise, she would not have taken the initiative to cook breakfast to redeem her tiger-like violent image from last night. Thinking back, in order to learn culinary skills, Princess Sisai, who was not good at needlework, had suffered a lot. Fortunately, she had Fourth Mother and the other elders to guide her carefully. Otherwise, her image would have been easily fixed at the level of Rouge Tigress, this arrogant princess. I think it will be done soon. Yu was most willing to see this kind of improvement. Her small face was full of joy. That idiot, wouldn't it be better to just forcefully push him down? Sometimes you don't have to be so gentle. Impatience spread her hands, expressing that it was a waste of time to not be able to settle such a simple matter. Everyone didn't agree with Her Majesty's opinion. It might work for others to forcefully push it, but Princess Sisai probably wouldn't be able to do it. Moreover, it would easily cause psychological trauma to Tigress. It was better to go with the flow. Hee. The Southern Demon King laughed without saying a word. Actually, it's not that bad. Fallen Beauty felt that Yu Yang still had many strength. When the big bad guy took down Traceless first, he was very efficient. No one expected that, right? Think about it, Traceless is usually quiet and passive. If she isn't the first one to be pushed down, who knows how long we'll have to wait? Don't let Sister Wuhan hear you. Anan made a cute shushing gesture. Speaking of which, our little Anan is still the bravest. Fallen Beauty couldn't help but joke about Anan's engagement with Yu Yang. I already said I won't mention it. Anan shyly covered her red face. Although she was the youngest, she was indeed the bravest when it came to love. Many people felt that they couldn't compare to her. What are you talking about? Princess Sisai came. Her six senses were sharp and she had a premonition that everyone was talking about her. She felt a little embarrassed, but she quickly got rid of it. Since she was his official fiancée, she had to get past this hurdle. Before Yu tried to smooth things over, Princess Qian Qian suddenly handed over a few blueprints to everyone. Yesterday, I thought for a long time and finally came up with a good idea. You guys can help me look at it. Impatience took a look and exclaimed, Wonderful! The Prison Emperor Excalibur contains the energy left behind by the Prison Emperor. If we completely erase it, It would be disrespectful to our ancestors. If we don't erase it, we won't be able to truly fuse with the prison Emperor Excalibur. Changing it into a prison Emperor Excalibur is really killing two birds with one stone. Regarding Princess Sisai's idea of combining the prison Emperor Excalibur's remaining energy in the prison Emperor Excalibur and Yu Yang's chaotic energy to make a prison Emperor Excalibur, everyone cheered and agreed with her idea. Fallen Beauty looked at the few Excalibur that Princess Sisai had designed and suddenly had an idea. If chaotic energy can be created without limit, why don't we remodel the moon battle armor and make it more suitable for ourselves? For example, those who are not battle type like Xiao Nu and Bao Er can be changed into ordinary clothes instead of battle armors. Inan clapped her hands in agreement. Good, good, good. But I want both styles. Why don't we each make a set of battle armor and a set of ordinary clothes? Southern Demon King suggested. Why don't we call the set of clothes we usually use Star Diamond Heavenly Robe? Didn't Mother build a Star Diamond castle outside the Human Valley? Let's use that name to commemorate it. It just so happens that it matches the moon battle armor. Impatience took out the grand idea of being the Sky Law Empress. That's not enough. I think that this Star Diamond Heavenly Robe should be made into a set of undergarments that are especially sexy. If we wear it, that little rascal's eyes would be glued to it and his wolfish nature would be aroused. Come, 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 let's design it together. Let's see what kind of undergarments would be more captivating and attractive. You mean that rascal? He would definitely like it. Look at the clothes that he designed for Xia Yi and Xiao Nu. When they wear it, their eyeballs would pop out. Actually, that moon battle armor can also be made sexier. Anyway, you guys rarely go out to battle and don't usually have the chance to wear it. Wearing it is just for him to look at. Xiao Nu was overjoyed. I'll take out a pen. Everyone, let's design it together. Hey, you guys are going off topic. Princess Sisai was speechless. She was here to ask everyone to help her look at the sheath. How did it end up on her clothes? Princess Sisai used Yu Yang's unique words to criticize them. However, Fallen Beauty and the others were all excited about designing the new clothes. No one was willing to help the princess look at the picture of the sheath. Without a choice, Princess Sisai could only pull Yu, her soft-hearted sister. Yu initially thought that it would be fine if she just gave some suggestions. She never thought that Princess Sisai would pull her along to participate in the whole process. She immediately cried out, "Me? No way." Of course, she knew that when Yu Yang and Princess Sisai were creating the Prison Emperor Divine Sheath, they would definitely need to have lovers' pair cultivation. During the process of lovers' pair cultivation, the young couple would be lovey-dovey and passionate, hugging each other intimately. They would also do things that were not suitable for children. How could she stand at the side and watch? Sister Yu, I'm afraid that I won't be able to control myself if you're not here. Princess Sisai's face showed a rare shyness. With you at the side, you can watch over him. He will definitely be obedient and not take advantage of you. Sai, this definitely won't do. Yu understood what Princess Sisai meant. However, how could she face her brother like this? When the sheath is completed, you can leave first. Princess Sisai found an excuse for Yu. No way. Yu shook her head with all her might. Yu, who was forcefully pulled to the laboratory by Princess Sisai, had no choice but to make another request. How about I stand at the door and enter if there's a need? Don't worry, I will always be at the door. I definitely won't leave. Where's Xiao-san? Princess Sisai opened the door a little. Yu Yang was sitting quietly inside, as if he was thinking hard about a difficult problem. Yu saw it. She was instantly touched. This silly brother. He was usually cheeky and didn't look serious on the surface, like a big kid who needed to be taken care of everywhere. In fact, the most difficult and tiring things in life, he always quietly left it to himself to solve. He was far more gentle than people imagined and knew how to care for others. What's wrong? Yu forgot her thoughts of watching at the door just now. She even forgot that Princess Sisai was watching by her side. She quietly walked in and sat in front of him. She used her soft little hand to hold his big hand gently. The soul silk ribbon was silently linked together, reaching straight to the bottom of their hearts. Her eyes stared into his eyes and asked with concern, "Are you going to be stuck in a dead end again? Don't you still have us?" Princess Sisai sighed. Only this sister you could comfort him like this. Even if it was her and Shuewuxia, they wouldn't be able to do this. When she also sat down and connected with the soul silk ribbon, only then did she realize that the world in Yu Yang's mind was actually filled with sword aura. That was a world of swords. Millions of different swords danced in the world of swords. And in the center of the world, Yu Yang's mind was painstakingly comprehending the way of swords. When Princess Sisai caught up with Yu and extended the soul silk ribbon together to touch Yu Yang's mind, her body immediately trembled. An unimaginable supreme way of swords shook her whole soul. She didn't know how long she stayed in the world of swords. Princess Sisai, in the process of Yu Yang's comprehension, seemed to have suddenly understood the boundless supreme way of swords. There was a kind of energy fluctuation in her body that she wouldn't be happy if she didn't spit it out. 6 records inherent skill and holy energy domain naturally appeared. The prison Emperor Divine sword rose from her shoulder and emitted 1,000 rays of light. Every ray of light emitted automatically formed a sword in the world of swords. Not a single one was the same. Yu's mind hadn't escaped from the world of swords yet. Her mind was born and her body moved as she pleased. She stretched out her palm and gently pressed it on Yu Yang's back, injecting him with the most gentle water energy. She wasn't like Princess Sisai, who belonged to the combat system. Her main weapon wasn't the sword, so the influence of the way of the sword on her wasn't as great as Princess Sisai's. However, in her heart, she naturally cooperated with Yu Yang, just like how she had done countless times in various experiments before and was already used to cooperating naturally. He Guizhong, Bai Shuanghua, Qi Xiaoyan, and Cheng Hongguang all shot out from Yu Yang's body. They pointed to the north, south, east, and west. And in the center, a sword was faintly forming. Its color was like flowing gold, brilliant like the sun rising and all living things being reborn. It was also like a heavenly dragon descending from the 9 heavens, filled with auspicious aura. This sword was the 5th sword that Yu Yang had been cultivating for a long time but had been unable to comprehend. Wang Lung Yuan. Ha! Princess Sisai stretched out her hand and held onto the prison Emperor Divine sword. She waved it like a shadow and pointed it at the center of the 4 swords, which seemed to have yet to be born, the Wang Lung Yuan sword. This sword was aimed straight at Yu Yang's heart. Yu Yang, who was painstakingly comprehending the way of the sword in the world of swords, felt that in front of him, Princess Sisai was flying over with a sword in her hand and crashing into his chest. Behind him, Yu had turned into water, wanting to merge with him. In that kind of mysterious telepathy, Yu Yang seemed to be enlightened. Countless energy seemed to instantly surpass his original will and spread out infinitely. After reaching its limit in an instant, it condensed again at an indescribable speed, transforming into a yellow dragon that spiraled down from the top of his head without any obstruction. It then came out from his back, passed through Yu's body, circled around her body, wrapped around Yu Yang's legs, went straight into his dantian, and then flew out from his chest. As soon as the yellow dragon pierced through Yu Yang's chest, it swallowed the prison Emperor Divine sword in Princess Sisai's hand, and then, with lightning speed, it pierced through her delicate body. It returned to the top of Yu Yang's head and entered his body. Fusing with him, there was no more sound. It was as if the yellow dragon had never appeared in the world of souls. Yu Yang and the 2 girls were both shocked and astonished. The 3 of them had never thought that it would turn out like this. Of course, Yu Yang himself couldn't understand it at all, because this yellow dragon, this Wang Lung Yuan sword, had already surpassed his original realm, and wasn't something he could control. Yu Yang guessed that it might be because of the heavenly sword goddess's guidance at a crucial moment, but he wasn't too sure. He couldn't tell Princess Sisai and Yu Yu about this. Since it's like this, then let's finish it in one go. Yu Yang didn't have time to think too much. While the feeling in his heart was still there, he took out the creation god pearl and released the overflowing chaotic energy, wrapping it around the prison emperor divine sword that the yellow dragon had swallowed before. Chapter 1072. The prison emperor's remaining consciousness in the prison emperor divine sword had already dissipated when they were in the prison emperor divine palace. But his will and energy were always there. It was also because of this that the prison emperor divine sword recognized Yu Yang as its master, and the right to use it belonged to the prison emperor's descendant, Princess Sisai. Different from Yu Yang, who had completely merged with the prison emperor divine seal, Princess Sisai had always respected prison emperor, her ancestor. No matter what she did on the surface, she couldn't really make the decision to erase her ancestor's energy. In addition, there was another difficulty in merging with the divine sword. Once the prison emperor's remaining energy in the sword was completely erased, the divine sword would completely belong to Yu Yang. Princess Sisai might not be able to use it anymore. Be careful. Princess Sisai saw that the prison emperor divine sword that had been swallowed by the yellow dragon seemed to have a new look. The prison emperor's remaining energy was only a ball that could dissipate at any time. She hurriedly reminded Yu Yang to preserve this ancestor's energy. White Shuanghua sword. Yu Yang's hand moved casually. The white Shuanghua sword instantly appeared and lightly slashed through the chaotic energy. The creation god pearl shone brightly. Combining with Heaven Eye's divine vision, creation domain and chaotic divine power, he poured the chaotic energy that contained the prison emperor's remaining energy into the prison emperor divine sword. The surface of the prison emperor divine sword started to disintegrate. Under Yu Yang's supreme will and the brilliance of the creation god pearl, it gradually condensed into a ball of lifelike existence. Yu Yang took the opportunity to drip a drop of God's blood on the prison emperor divine sword. Then, with the God's blood as the core, the prison emperor divine sword's surface and chaotic energy formed a dragon swallowing that looked like Tao Tai. From a certain angle, it looked more like Princess Sisai's water-repellent golden eyes beast. This form was completely new. Nameless. If one had to describe it, it would be a transcendent saint-ranked divine weapon. The prison emperor divine sword that was peeling off let out a joyful buzzing sound that lasted for a long time. It turned into a seven-colored stream of light and flew around Yu Yang and Princess Sisai spiritually. Seeing this, Yu Yang hurriedly used the power of the extreme law that he could comprehend to control it, and then held it together with Princess Sisai's little hand in his hand. The dual cultivation of lovers began. In the spiritual world, Yu Yang and Princess Sisai were hugging each other tightly and kissing each other. In reality, it was the same for the both of them. Both of them held the prison emperor divine sword that was glowing with seven-colored light at the same time. All the obstacles in their bodies disappeared, and they hugged each other without any gap. Both of their senses merged into one. Energy flowed from his mouth to her cherry lips, and from her fragrant tongue back to his mouth. The soul imprint of Wang Qing and Yu Yang merged into one, forming a unique imprint that only lovers who loved each other deeply would have. At this moment, Princess Sisai forgot that she was Tigress who liked to glare at him with her tiger-like eyes. Yu Yang also forgot that he was a bad guy from another world who especially liked to make her angry. In their hearts, there was only each other left. He hugged her tightly. She hugged him back. They used the touch of their bodies to strengthen the connection between their souls, and used their tongues to strengthen the sweet communication between lovers. The endless happiness made the pair of lovers intoxicated. No matter how long they kissed, no matter how long they had each other, they would never get tired of it. If it was possible, this pair of happy lovers would be willing to kiss each other passionately for the rest of their lives. Unknowingly, under Yu Yang's Zun's will, the prison Emperor Divine Sword had successfully contracted with Princess Sisai. This wasn't abandoning Yu Yang, it was accepting a new master. In the current prison Emperor Divine Sword's mind, it had recognized Yu Yang and Princess Sisai as one existence. There was no distinction between them. Furthermore, the current prison Emperor Divine Sword couldn't be called the prison Emperor Divine Sword anymore. It had become a divine sword that had been swallowed by the yellow dragon to produce an unknown effect. After that, it had been cleansed by Yu Yang's chaotic energy and Zun's Zun. Combined with Princess Sisai's 6 records inherent skill, holy energy and guardian beasts, a new divine sword was born. Prison Tiger Divine Sword. The Prison Tiger Divine Sword that was glowing with 7-colored light let out a deafening cry. It was like a dragon's roar, like a tiger's roar. It was soundless, but it violently shook Yu Yang and Princess Sisai's entire spiritual world. The newly born divine weapon in the form of a dragon-swallowing beast also changed mysteriously, forming an indescribably beautiful scabbard that wrapped the Prison Tiger Divine Sword perfectly. The degree of compatibility was exactly the same. The divine sword that had been unable to successfully fuse with the Prison Tiger Divine Sword had finally been completed. It had officially become the newly born Prison Tiger Divine Sword in Princess Sisai's hands. Furthermore, she had even obtained a new divine weapon in the form of a heaven-swallowing beast that was not part of her original plan. Perhaps it was because she was excited after fusing with the divine sword, or maybe it was because of the kisses during their dual cultivation. Princess Sisai couldn't control herself. She couldn't stop responding to Yu Yang's kisses. Their lips and tongues were entangled, and she responded to his greedy demands with extreme gentleness. Unbeknownst to her, his naughty claws had already climbed up her prideful jade peaks. Unlike her usual self, she only gently twisted her body as if she was uncomfortable, but she didn't reject him harshly like she usually did. The insatiable Yu Yang wouldn't be satisfied with just occupying a high ground. Soon, the other high ground was also declared lost. When he lowered his head and tasted the sweet fruits of victory, Princess Sisai, who was burning with passion, couldn't help but press his head deep into her chest. She wanted to let him taste the sweetest fruits of victory, let him know how good she was, and let him never leave her for the rest of his life. His naughty hands wandered everywhere, sliding down the full moon's fragrant buttocks. They approached the stream. They were like curious tourists who wanted to go for a stroll at the peach blossom spring and enjoy the beautiful scenery. Cough, cough. 2 awkward coughs woke the pair of young lovers from their intoxication. Yu Yang and Princess Sisai only now remembered that there was Yu beside them. Although she had no intention of watching, she, who was connected by the spiritual silk ribbon, felt what the two had just done. Originally, Yu didn't want to disturb Yu Yang and Princess Sisai's intimate actions, but she couldn't pull herself away from Yu Yang's spiritual world. This was because she was deeply afraid that if she forced herself to leave, it would cause great damage to her brother and Princess Sisai's hearts. Especially when the lovers were unreservedly immersed in their dual cultivation, it was easier for their hearts to be impacted and cause irreparable damage. Yu, who couldn't leave, could only endure her embarrassment, suppress her awkwardness, and resist the torment of her senses. She quietly waited for Yu Yang and Princess Sisai to finish their dual cultivation. If it wasn't for Yu Yang's intention to explore the peach blossom spring and his shameful actions that Yu couldn't bear to watch, then she wouldn't disturb the two. She would only continue to wait for it to end. Sister Yu. Yu Yang was extremely embarrassed. His wolf claws had actually been discovered by her. For a moment, he really didn't know what to do. Quickly let us retreat to the spiritual world. Princess Sisai was also so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. Cough, okay. Yu Yang did not have the time to check if he had truly comprehended the 5th sword, the Wang Lung Yuan sword. He quickly eliminated the sword principle world in his mind, allowing Princess Sisai and Yu Yu to safely return to their real bodies. When he opened his eyes, he discovered that Princess Qian Qian, who was in his embrace, had long been stripped of all her clothes. Her body was as delicate as jade, and her body was soft. Behind him was Sister Yu, who was so embarrassed that she was lightly punching him with her little fists. Without looking, Yu Yang knew what kind of awkward situation she was in. Yu Yang couldn't be bothered with Princess Sisai. He first conjured a snow-white blanket and wrapped it around Sister Rain. Princess Sisai, on the other hand, quickly reached out her hand in understanding. Cover his eyes. Even if this was just an act of burying one's head in the sand, it would make everyone less awkward. The two women hurriedly put on their clothes. Different from Princess Sisai, who was still covering Yu Yang's eyes with one hand, Yu Yu, after changing into her underwear, immediately summoned the super-evolved Angel's Blade, the Angel of Dawn. The beautiful semi-god battle armor instantly covered her body, eliminating some of the awkwardness. Princess Sisai, in a moment of panic, almost forgot how to put on her clothes. She was in a fluster. Yu Yu hurriedly went forward to help. When Princess Sisai turned around, she naturally wrapped the blanket around Yu Yang. After countless experiments in the past, she was already used to taking care of him like this. If he hadn't been so naughty and just hugged and kissed, Yu Yu would have also pretended not to see it. After all, he and Qian were lovers and would be husband and wife in the future. It was normal for them to be intimate. The reason why she had to stop him was because his actions would make her feel the same way. Congratulations, you have finally fused with the godly sword. Now, the Hell Tiger godly sword is truly born. As if nothing had happened, Yu Yu smiled and congratulated the blushing Princess Sisai, as if nothing had happened. Sister Yu, thank you. Princess Sisai was both shy and happy. She couldn't help but hug Yu Yu and give her a kiss. He is actually still a big kid. In the future, I will hand him over to you to take care of. Yu Yu gently stroked Princess Sisai's soft hair and secretly rejoiced. After today's couple cultivation, it seemed that Princess Sisai, the Rouge Tigress, would no longer fight with her brother. Even if she still fought on the surface, when the two of them were together, she would probably become a gentle little tiger. I don't care about him. When Princess Sisai thought of the embarrassing scene just now, she couldn't help but grab Yu Yang's arm and bite it. Who asked you to touch me from top to bottom? Who asked you to be so savage in front of Sister Yu? I am guilty. I am willing to accept the people's judgment. Yu Yang's attitude towards admitting his mistake was very proper. Sister Yu, let's not care about him. Let him stay here and reflect on himself. Princess Sisai felt that if this brat continued to coax her, her heart might soften. She hurriedly pulled Yu Yu and left. If her heart really softened and she was captured by him again in front of Sister Yu, then she would really lose face. Princess Sisai resisted the urge to kiss Yu Yang's lip. Instead, she flew up and kicked Yu Yang's calf. Her kick was so strong that it couldn't even kill a mosquito. Pulling Yu Yu with her small hands, she opened the door and ran out. Before she could go far, she left behind a string of bell-like laughter. It had been a long time since she, the Rouge Tigress, had been so happy. All the way until dinner. Princess Qian was still in a good mood as she held her small bowl. Even though she purposely kept a straight face at Yu Yang, the faintly discernible smile on her lips could not be concealed no matter what. Xiaonu took advantage of the fact that the princess was in a good mood and obediently handed over a design drawing. There were 6 styles of clothing drawn on it, including 2 types of sexy lingerie. Mistress Qian, take a look and see which style you like. Xiaonu will try to make a sample first. Xiaonu said. Princess Sisai, who put down her bowl, sweated profusely. It's fine if the undergarments are like that, but why did you guys design the battle armor to be so excessive? Do you really have to show your cleavage to increase your battle power? This is not a battle armor at all. This is a seductive outfit that is used to make perverts bleed to death. Even your thighs are exposed, what kind of defense can it have? It's not like it's meant for battle. As long as some wolf likes to look at it, it's fine. Fallen Beauty expressed that this was for household use. The battle armor outside would not be designed like this. Actually, it can also be used for battle. Don't you think it would increase the interest? Alright, the Tian Fa Empress strength was not something an ordinary person could compare to. What good stuff. Yu Yang came over, as if he had discovered a new continent. It's none of your business. Princess Sisai sent him flying with a punch. She really couldn't imagine what would happen if she stood in front of him wearing such a seductive battle armor. He would probably pounce on her and touch her all over with his wolfish claws. Just as she was about to tear the design, she changed her mind. If he wore it at home and didn't come out of the grimoire world, he would only be a man, so it didn't seem too serious. Princess Sisai put down the design, letting the Tian Fa Empress and Fallen Beauty's painstaking efforts escape. She suppressed her imagination of wearing the seductive battle armor and said, I don't want this kind of boring thing. If you guys want to wear it, just wear it, but don't lead the children astray, especially Bing Air, Bao Air and the others. You must not let them know. Chapter 1073. Helping Princess Qian to evolve the Prison Emperor Divine Sword into the Tiger Prison Divine Sword was not only the most important goal he wanted to achieve in the near future, but he also obtained the heaven-swallowing beast scabbard that could evolve into an Earth Divine weapon. Adding flowers to brocade made Yu Yang's mood extremely good. He did not return to the Star Diamond Castle. With Butler Dooley, Chef Su Shan and the others around, Yu Yang believed that even if he did not return, they would still be able to settle everything down properly. Tianjiao Yuzi's school did not seem to have received any news about Yu Yang's shocking performance in the mining area. It was the same as before. This could be because General Lei Meng and Prince Reynolds behind him, as well as Zhong Hua and the Silver Maple City Lord behind him, did not want to spread Yu Yang's matter too early to avoid attracting more people's attention. Especially when Yu Yang used the mysterious rune power at the end to create the obsidian giant out of thin air, which made all the puppets bow down to him. This made this matter even more confidential. Student Titan, how was your rest? The principal not only regarded Yu Yang, this monstrous student, as his proudest student in his life, but he also treated him as his family. When the 3-day holiday ended, Yu Yang returned to school. The principal had already prepared the 100-flower sweet dew pies made by Granny Doro for him. Thank you for your concern, Principal. I had a good rest. Yu Yang naturally pretended to be an obedient child. Is there any problem in the Star Diamond Castle? The principal had been supervising the teacher's research for the past few days, so he did not know what happened in the mining area. There's no problem. I even took the time to walk around the territory. Yu Yang said honestly, although he did not say everything. Is that so? Did you get anything good? The principal smiled. He thought that Yu Yang was in a good mood because he was in the territory and was welcomed by the people. Seeing the smile on Titan's face, he also felt gratified. I can't say that I gained anything. I just got to know some people and gained some knowledge. Yu Yang changed the topic and said with a smile, during these few days of vacation, I thought about it in silence and came up with some new ideas. If we can really implement them, they may be very helpful to the research. For example, regarding the flying war puppet, if we use the power of runes instead of choosing the materials, we don't need to worry about the weight of the flying war puppet. Then, we can improve the shape, weight, structure, size and so on of the flying war puppet. Another example is this runic circle. If we can successfully add it to the runic circle, then it will be able to assist the flying battle puppet in all kinds of ascending maneuvers, including gliding, flying, flipping, circling, standing upside down, climbing, and so on. Furthermore, I am thinking of a question. Can we transform the flying battle puppet? If it can fly as a flying battle puppet and land on the ground, it can transform into a fighter puppet. In that case, it will have a higher significance in various tactical arrangements and strategic dispatches. Oh, I didn't expect that the flying battle puppet could be designed like this. The principal looked at the blueprint and was shocked. He was immediately engrossed in it. I plan to design the flying battle puppet into 3 types of battle puppet. The first type is the scouting battle puppet with the fastest speed. It would rather give up most of its combat power, but its speed and agility must be increased to the highest level. As the scouting battle puppet before the battle, it will be the eyes on the battlefield and also the sharp weapon to know itself and the enemy. The second type is the combat battle puppet that combines speed and combat power. It will be the main combat power and the sword of victory. Moreover, its mission includes attacking the enemy's air forces. Even if the enemy doesn't have them now, they will definitely have them in the future. Therefore, our combat-type flying battle puppet must be at the forefront of all the research results. The third type is the flying battle puppet. I hope that it can be an assault type that can transport and destroy the enemy. Yu Yang introduced the flying battle puppet without stopping. Assault type? The principal understood the first 2 types, but he still didn't understand the last one completely. It's like this. I hope that the third type of assault battle puppet doesn't necessarily have the ability to transform, nor does it necessarily have the ability to fight in the air. However, it must be a giant flying battle puppet that has outstanding transportation and navigation abilities. It must have the largest body and the thickest armor. It can transport many flying battle puppets or ground battle puppets to its destination in one go. This way we can carry out a decapitation operation on an important target. In terms of battle tactics and strategy, the assault-type flying battle puppet will be the main force on the battlefield. As long as they are dispatched, the enemy's targets on the ground will be attacked and become our designated targets to destroy. In terms of attacking the enemy, this is the biggest trump card. Yu Yang explained in detail. Heavens, if this can really be achieved, the enemy's cities will tremble in front of our flying battle puppet. The entire human valley will turn a new page in history because of the appearance of these flying battle puppets, showing a new chapter. The principal felt that if this could really be achieved, it would be hard for him not to leave his name in history. I already have the blueprints, I just need to make the prototype and test it on the battlefield. Yu Yang threw another bomb. In fact, he only had this idea. The ones who were really responsible for helping him perfect these things were the girls in the grimoire world. For example, Sickly Beauty, Fallen Flowers and Inan were mainly responsible for perfecting the runes. Impatience and the Southern Demon King were responsible for designing the blueprint. Xia Yi and Xiaonu were their assistants. Yu Yu, Princess Sisai and the Drunken Cat were responsible for the materials and the final customization of the model. In short, with them around, Yu Yang only needed to propose ideas, and they would quickly turn this idea into reality. There was strength in numbers. This was inevitable. What's more, Sickly Beauty and Yu Yu were not only talented girls who were in charge of their own tasks, they were also used to cooperating with Yu Yang. They had a tacit understanding of each other. The principal was so excited that his beard was trembling. He immediately pulled Yu Yang into the laboratory, and the participating teachers all digested Yu Yang's brand new crazy idea together. Now that he had a research direction and a blueprint, he was able to successfully deduce the simulation process of the originally confusing flying battle puppet. The originally clumsy flying battle dolls had not been truly manufactured yet. Now, Yu Yang had thrown out 3 different ideas to create the direction of the flying battle dolls, which really made the principal and the others cry out, unable to take it. The surprise was really too big. There was no other way. They couldn't help but be excited, they couldn't help but go crazy. The idea proposed by Yu Yang was equivalent to the idea of making front-loaded guns and nano-sized bullets in the era of cold weapons, instantly making the battle enter the era of gunpowder. This was not enough. The evolution of the 3 types of flying battle dolls was equivalent to the idea of making rear-loaded guns and copper-shelled bullets on the basis of front-loaded guns and nano-sized bullet. He also designed the development direction of pistols, rifles, and machine guns. This kind of abnormal research and crazy idea in the era of cold weapons, how could it not be a miracle that transcended the era? Everyone hugged and cried for the success of the simulation, cheering in unison. The principal suddenly discovered a problem. He pulled Yu Yang to the side and looked at his face for a long time. Suddenly, he couldn't suppress his emotions and shouted, "Student Tai Tan, I want to criticize you." Yu Yang was stunned. Everyone was also stunned. What's going on? It's fine if he didn't praise him, but why did he criticize Student Tai Tan? The principal's big hands that were pressing down on Yu Yang's shoulders were trembling. You child, how can you be like this? How can you be like this? I gave you a holiday so that you could have a good rest. You didn't rest at all. These past few days, you were always researching. You didn't even go out to patrol the territory, right? You didn't have a good rest at all, you were always researching. When he said this, everyone immediately agreed. Student Tai Tan definitely didn't rest. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the time to design so many flying battle puppets. Even if it was a design blueprint, from the beginning to the end, it would take at least a few days or even longer. Not to mention that there were so many design blueprints and research ideas. Everyone's eyes were red, they all looked at Yu Yang with eyes brimming with tears. The principal was even more afraid that Yu Yang would collapse at any time because he didn't get a good rest. Just like an old hen protecting her chick, he stretched out his hands to protect him. Yu Yang wanted to open his mouth to explain. The principal waved his big hands. You don't have to say anything, there is no room for discussion. Rest, you must rest. Otherwise, us old fellows would rather not see a flying battle puppet for our entire lives than to see you collapse from exhaustion. Child, my child, do you know how important you are? You are a treasure bestowed by the heavens to the earth. Your thoughts are the spark of inspiration that blossoms in the world. It is impossible to measure your value. Compared to those walking corpses, you are the one who truly has the qualifications to enjoy everything on earth. However, you don't care about your own body at all. Time and time again, you overdraft. Child, do you know how worried I am? Do you know how much Granny Doro's heart aches when she talks about you? Do you know how much self-reproach we, as role models, feel? All right, I won't say any more. You should rest immediately. This is my order as a teacher and as an elder. It is also my request as a witness and participant of history. What could Yu Yang say? Could he say that these things were just a concept that he had proposed, and that he didn't need to do anything? He could go and take a bath with the little beauty on his own, or hug the little beauty and whisper sweet nothings to her. Every day, he would wake up naturally. Right now, he was feeling refreshed and full of energy. Those blueprints and whatnot were all made with the help of those beauties at home. Could Yu Yang say that? No. Even if he told the principal, they wouldn't believe him. Therefore, Yu Yang could only lower his head like a criminal pleading guilty. Yes, I was wrong. I will rest immediately. I will leave perfecting the blueprints and modeling to everyone. What blueprints are you still thinking about? The only thing you need to do now is to find the most comfortable pillow and have a good sleep. The principal was angry. Yes. I will rest immediately. I won't think about anything. Yu Yang was so scared that he hurriedly left. This child is good at everything, but he won't listen to me. The principal's voice choked as he spoke. He turned around and didn't want anyone to see his teary eyes. Not only him, all the teachers present were like this, because they were excited and moved. The principal and the teachers were crazy. They researched and developed day and night, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. With the principal and the teacher's crazy research, and Yu Yang's guidance after he came back from his rest. 5 days later, the first flying puppet was finally assembled successfully. Although this was only an untested prototype, it was the first generation of flying battle dolls. It couldn't transform, it didn't have high speed and flexibility, and it didn't have any combat power. It couldn't transport or carry anything other than its size, and it couldn't really fly into the sky. It still stayed on the ground of the underground laboratory. In short, it was the first generation of flying battle dolls. However, it was an epoch-making existence for the Silver Maple City's Prodigy Wanderer School. For the principal and the teachers who worked day and night to research and develop it, it was also an epoch-making existence. Now, no one doubted that it couldn't fly into the sky. The only problem was how high and how far it could fly. The flying battle doll had been successfully developed. Even if it hadn't really flown into the sky, entered the battlefield, and obtained the recognition of the law of war, it could silently announce to the world that the era of flying battle dolls had arrived. The one who created all this was Yu Yang, who was forced by the principal to rest for 3 more days. "We have created a miracle." Teacher Omeng's face was glowing. When he got married that year, he was far from being as excited as he was today. No, this is just the beginning. The era of miracles is about to arrive. Teacher Opu kept writing in his diary. This was his habit. When he was excited, he couldn't speak. He had to use a pen to vent the torrential emotions in his heart. All of this was created by our hands. We are creating a new era. Honor is coming to us in large strides. And all of this was created by Student Titan. Student Titan, as your teacher, I am proud to have a student like you. The principal was like a proud rooster, standing under the flying battle doll with his head held high. He pressed his hand on Yu Yang's shoulder, his eyes tightly closed. His voice was choked with emotion, but the corners of his mouth were smiling. I am very happy to be born in this era with you. I am very satisfied to have a young man like you as my disciple. Child, you must spread your wings and fly, bringing our dreams with you. Please spread your wings and fly, bringing our dreams with you. The people who were involved in the research and development, whether it was the teachers or Omeng's brothers, were all looking at Yu Yang with excitement. This voice burst out from the bottom of their hearts. Please spread your wings and fly, bringing our dreams with you. Please spread your wings, bringing our dreams with you. Chapter 1074. 1 month later. Other than the school's teachers, Omeng's brothers, and a limited number of participants, no one outside of the school knew about the successful development of the flying war doll. In order to keep it a secret, the principal personally bought the materials. Moreover, all the required items were purchased in several remote areas far away from Silver Maple City and brought back to Heaven's Proud Wanderer School in pieces. Although Zhonghua and Silver Maple City's master had been secretly paying attention to Yu Yang's studies, the news they heard was that Yu Yang had used the artifact spirit to create the Saint Tyr Goose Feather Pen and the special rune circle, these 2 specialties. They didn't know that the best concealed flying war doll had already been created. Otherwise, they would definitely go crazy due to the severe lack of time, materials, and manpower. The scouting and combat-type flying war dolls were still on the blueprint. On the other hand, the assault-type flying war dolls had already been created with a scale of 1:1. They had already taken a big step towards the actual prototype. Now, what Omeng and Wu Pu needed to break through was how to improve the foundation of the first-generation flying war dolls to the assault-type flying war dolls step by step. With the assault type, as long as the enemy didn't have any flying war dolls to defend against it, it would be a moving fortress. Wherever it went, it would be invincible. There's no rush at all. As long as we have the first-generation flying war dolls, we'll be invincible. The principal didn't wish to expose Yu Yang's monstrous talent too early. If that happened, it might bring about a disaster. If a genius didn't have enough strength, it would be very easy for him to be hated by others and die prematurely. This kind of thing, no matter if it was outside the heaven realm or in the human valley, was common. If it wasn't for Yu Yang's recent development of a self-exploding puppet that could be stored in the stomach of the assault-type flying war dolls and released at any time to become a powerful weapon to attack the enemy's target, the principal wouldn't have agreed to the development of the assault-type flying war dolls now. This was because he was worried that the owner of the Star Diamond Castle, Yu Yang, would be robbed by the big forces. No matter what, during student Tai Tan's life assessment ceremony, we must make a prototype of the assault model he developed and let him take back the highest honor of being the champion. Teacher O Meng and his brothers were now full of energy. Principal, you and student Tai Tan have been invited to Golden Leaf City to participate in the Prodigy of Heaven's exchange. Teacher Wu Pu came in from outside and brought back a message. This is recommended by the City Lord of Silver Maple. The principal took the invitation card and saw that Yu Yang had the opportunity to attend. He was specially recommended by Silver Maple City Master and Zhonghua. He thought for a while and handed the invitation to Yu Yang, wanting to ask for Yu Yang's opinion. Yu Yang was originally disdainful of these social gatherings. However, when he heard that the 1,000-year great sage was in Golden Leaf City and was likely to attend the exchange, he immediately changed his mind and decided to go with the headmaster. Anyway, he had nothing to do, so there was no harm in attending the exchange. It would be best if he could obtain more knowledge from the 1,000-year great sage. Other than that, Golden Leaf City had a special product, Leaf Cloud Gold. This kind of special and rare mineral was an important material for making flying puppets, especially the battle-type flying puppets. Yu Yang decided to buy a lot of Yu Cloud Gold before the flying puppets appeared in the market and before people knew the true value of the Yu Cloud Gold. After the principal arranged the affairs, he brought his favorite student, Yu Yang, and boarded the medium-sized luxurious airship dispatched by the City Lord of Silver Maple City to Golden Leaf City. Although Golden Leaf City and Silver Maple City were only two cities, they were actually the capital cities of the two major powers. The distance between them was 2,000 miles. Even though it was a luxurious airship, it took them 6 hours to reach their destination. Only then did they reach their destination. Accompanying them was the black-bearded old man who sat on the first seat on the right of the City Lord of Silver Maple City. In addition, there was also the Red Counselor Fan Xinjing, who was originally plotting against Yu Yang to seize the territory under the Star Diamond Castle. The 10th son of Yu Yang, Zhonghua, who was wholeheartedly trying to get on his good side, did not appear. Of course, this did not mean anything. It was very likely that he felt that traveling with them was too out of place and would arouse suspicion, so he pretended it was a chance encounter at a banquet. Both of you, please take a seat. The black-bearded old man was very respectful towards the principal. He was also secretly paying attention to the student, Yu Yang, whom Zhonghua was trying to get on his good side. Unlike the black-bearded old man, Fan Xinjing was still a little against Yu Yang. He always wanted to find some small thorns. According to what the City Lord of Silver Maple City mentioned at the banquet, the owner of the Star Diamond Castle, Baron Titan, is currently researching a kind of unfathomable rune circle. I wonder how his progress is? I do not wish to doubt whether the young Baron has the wealth of knowledge to support his research. Instead, I sincerely hope that the owner of the Star Diamond Castle, Baron Zhonghua, will be like the pride of Silver Maple City, the 10th son of the City Lord. He will be able to achieve outstanding results in the assessment ceremony, so that we, who are from the same hometown, can also be proud. Fan Xinjing, you will not be disappointed. The principal was like a kind old man to Yu Yang, and he could not wait to treat his favorite student, Yu Yang, as his precious baby. However, he was extremely strict towards outsiders. Even though the other party was a red counselor, the principal's words were still extremely impolite. If it was not for the fact that he had to maintain the virtuous demeanor of a scholar, he might have grabbed Fan Xinjing's collar and directly thrown this fellow who dared to provoke Yu Yang off the luxurious airship. Fan Xinjing could not help but feel a little guilty in the face of the principal's sharp, eagle-like gaze. In the human valley, if one offended a king, as long as one left the king's sphere of influence, then one would most likely be fine. After all, the human valley was not a place where one could casually use violence. However, if one offended a scholar, then it would be more tragic. Who knew how many friends this scholar had, how many disciples he had, and how much knowledge he had? In the human valley, knowledge was power, knowledge was wealth, and knowledge was practically everything. No one was willing to easily offend a scholar who possessed knowledge. Even if it was a noble, even if it was a sage, they would still pay extra attention to him. Haha, since that is the case, then I will definitely be there to watch the assessment ceremony and await the Baron's glorious feat. Fan Xinjing laughed and said some polite words. He would not be stupid enough to fire at the principal. He was only targeting Yu Yang, the lucky fellow who had picked up the Star Diamond Castle. The principal was so arrogant that he did not give the other party any face at all. He brought Yu Yang away from his seat and returned to his resting room. He did not even deign to sit together with the other party. As a red consul, Fan Xinjing's EQ was quite high. Even when faced with such an awkward situation, he still maintained a smile on his face. Towards such a politician, Yu Yang could not be bothered to speak. Whether it was the human valley or the Chinese society before he transmigrated, there would always be such people. According to the 1,000-year great sage, it was precisely because there were evil and kind, foolish and wise, cunning and pure, fake and real, and so on, that the many lives in the world formed a splendid civilization. The more complicated the social relationships, the greater the struggle, and the more opportunities for training. For example, in those relatively simple primitive societies, as long as they had their stomachs full, everyone would happily dance around. How could there be any training for the mind? It was precisely because of the complexity of the human heart that human society was so different from the animal world. It was the same. Humans had the best opportunities to train and grow. When Yu Yang and the principal stepped out of the Golden Leaf City's airship parking area, the first news they received was actually about the heaven-splitting demon lord. What made Yu Yang extremely surprised was that this guy did not reincarnate into any noble class, but reincarnated into the brother of the leader of the biggest rebel army in the human valley, against the heaven. Who was against the heaven? How did he know the heaven-splitting demon lord? What was the relationship between the two of them? Why did the heaven-splitting demon lord reincarnate into the rebel army? Yu Yang did not even have time to think before he was shocked by the news in front of him. The heaven-splitting demon lord had created an invisible specter war puppet and challenged the lord of the Thousand Beast City, Qi Hu, to a one-on-one battle with the lord of the Thousand Beast City, who had always proclaimed himself to be an enemy of the rebel army. And with the war god statue's divine sense as a witness, he defeated the lord of the Thousand Beast City, Zhan Hu, and seized the Thousand Beast City. The most shocking thing about this news was, the lord of Qi Hu, who had been fighting against the rebel army for more than 600 years, was subdued by the heaven-splitting demon lord who drove the spectral war puppet. Not only did he offer up the Thousand Beast City according to the bet, he was also willing to kneel and worship the heaven-splitting demon lord, acknowledging him as his master and becoming an obedient servant. A spectral war puppet that can become invisible? Yu Yang felt that this matter was not simple. It was already exaggerated enough to challenge the gambling city one-on-one, and he even knelt down to acknowledge him as his master? Unacceptable. The principal also felt that it was unbelievable. One should know that the Lord of the Thousand Beast City, Chi Hu, was definitely the person who hated the rebel army the most. How could he kneel down to acknowledge Kai Tian, the brother of the rebel army's leader, against the heaven? What happened in between? Although it was not clear, Yu Yang felt that there must be something fishy going on. Otherwise, even if the gods descended, they would not be able to make a hated city lord kneel down and acknowledge him as his master. The heaven-splitting demon lord was very powerful, but he couldn't use his own strength in the human valley, and he didn't have the halo of a retard. How could he make someone kneel down and call him boss with just a shake of his body? This news had not been digested yet. Yu Yang and the principal had just let the receptionist lead them into the VIP lounge and sat down for tea. Before they could say a few polite words, another explosive news came out. This was not about kneeling down and calling him boss. But it was even more exaggerated, even more shocking. As the imperial capital's prince of the Tiandu, Ji Wuri pitied the suffering of the people in the human valley. He felt that the people worked hard for a living and were under too much pressure, so they lacked interest in normal life such as having children. Therefore, Prince Ji Wuri, who was as benevolent as a god, used the spring water of the spring of life and a special medicine that was said to be called longevity is like gold to develop a secret recipe of the joyful unification powder, which inspired tens of thousands of people. Joyful union powder? Yu Yang was now a little suspicious that the chicken Ji Wuri was also a man from another world. Ridiculous! The principal was very angry when he heard this. He felt that all the good ideas were used in crooked ways. This made Yu Yang, who was preparing to develop an I love luge or lewd smile half-step deranged to steal money, quickly give up on the idea. Although inventing this kind of thing would definitely make money, it would have too big of an impact and would easily attract hatred. He, who wanted to keep a low profile in the beginning, should not do this. Ji Wuri invented this to attract money. It was definitely a good plan. Moreover, this guy was ruthless enough. In order to achieve his goal, he would do anything. He would rather destroy his own reputation. From this, it could be seen that he was a ruthless person. Since Kai Tian Demon Venerable and Ji Wuri had made their moves, what about the Sky Region Emperor, Captain Cook? What about the Light Hall Master Zhonghua, the Dark Hall Master Wanmo, and the Fire Hall Master Burning Wind, who were the 10th son of the Silver Maple City Master? How would they deal with it? It seemed that the fight in the human valley had just begun. It was still warming up. It had not officially started yet. All right, I'll watch the show first. When everyone is done, I'll reward them one by one. You guys continue to fight, you must fight to the death. That couldn't be better. Yu Yang was in a good mood. His biggest advantage was that no one knew of his arrival. He could hide and develop in the dark at the beginning. Of course, things like how Zhonghua misunderstood that the Eastern Immortal Tribe was helping to cover it up could also be considered as the icing on the cake. Chapter 1075. The exchange meeting in Golden Leaf City was not like a salon or a banquet. It was more like a product exhibition. Within the human valley, the invited celebrities and students would bring their local specialties or masterpieces to the exchange meeting to display. This kind of exchange meeting was also a good opportunity to exchange knowledge and find partners to cooperate with. Silver Maple City also had its own special products, and the most famous one was a kind of silver maple leaf that could be used as a catalyst for medicine. The original Silver Maple City was also named after this kind of silver maple leaf. Other than that, there were several other kinds. This included the purple crystal produced by the mine in the territory of Yu Yang, the owner of the Star Diamond Castle. It was also a special mineral that could not be found elsewhere. If one could show off at the exchange meeting, it would be the best test for one's life assessment and future development. Many students liked to show off at the exchange meeting. It was also a way to accumulate strength for one's own improvement. "Your Excellency Baron Titan, aren't you going to display your masterpieces with runes?" Fan Zhongzong put on a fake smile and looked for Yu Yang. "Your Excellency Baron has just entered the academy, so you definitely haven't perfected it yet." The black-bearded old man tried to smooth things over for him. "Is that so? Then you don't have any masterpieces." Fan Zhongzong purposely raised his voice. He wished that everyone in the exchange meeting could hear his words and make the owner of the Star Diamond Castle, Yu Yang, embarrassed. "Do I have to show my masterpieces to come here?" Yu Yang smiled. "Why do I feel that I would be more popular if I were a generous buyer of students?" Humph! Fan Zhongzong's expression immediately changed. He was a smart person. How could he not understand? Yu Yang was clearly trying to bully people with money. He was extremely unhappy when he heard this, but there was nothing he could do. No matter what, he couldn't stop the other party from spending money to buy things from the exchange meeting, right? In Human Valley, if one had money and status, who could stop them? If Yu Yang was just a normal mercenary, or an upstart merchant, Fan Zhisheng could still use his authority to suppress Yu Yang and chase him out of the exchange gathering. However, Yu Yang was a baron with status and position. He had a Star Diamond Castle and 4 territories under his control. Fan Zhisheng was just a little more experienced, but his status and position was still much lower than Yu Yang's. As it turned out, the Silver Maple City Lord wanted to seize the benefits of the Star Diamond Castle, and he, Fan Qingzong, had followed behind to wave the flag and shout battle cries, so that he could reap some benefits. Now, the city master of Silver Maple City and his 10th son, Zhonghua, had inexplicably given up on the benefits of seizing the Star Diamond Castle. They even seemed to be secretly taking care of it. As a mere official, other than venting his frustrations, he really didn't dare to make any small moves in private. "Little Titan, here's 1,000 sky crystals. Buy whatever you want, don't be stingy." The principal was preparing to go out and meet up with a few old friends. Before he left, he handed a card to Yu Yang, allowing this student of his to shop as much as he wanted at the exchange gathering. The principal was worried that this student of his was too well behaved and was reluctant to spend money, so he specially reminded him. "Thank you, principal. If Yu Yang's well-behaved behavior was in kindergarten, he would definitely get a little red flower." Damn it! Fan Qingzong saw this from the side. He was so jealous that he almost banged his head against the wall. He had never seen a principal like this before. No matter how much he loved his student, he couldn't possibly give 1,000 sky crystals to his student to squander, right? What did 1,000 sky crystals mean? He was a red counselor, and was one of the few big shots in Silver Maple City Lord. However, his annual income, including his normal salary and all sorts of gray income, did not exceed this amount. Now, a dignified red counselor's annual income could not even reach this amount, was given to this kid to spend like pocket money. This was too unfair. Fan Qingzong felt that if he was the heavens that carried out the law of punishment, he would strike this kid to death with lightning. "So much money, what should I buy?" Sometimes, having too much money is also a problem. Yu Yang purposely waved the card in front of Fan Qingzong. Fan Qingzong was so angry that he almost bled from his 7 orifices. "Damn it, don't you know when to stop? Do you want to anger others to death to be happy?" If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't use force in Human Valley, Fan Qingzong would have snatched it by force. The principal is really generous. The black-bearded old man was also extremely envious. Furthermore, he now understood why the city master of Silver Maple City and his 10th son, Zhonghua, who was in the limelight the most, would change their attitude and support Baron Titan instead of secretly scheming to seize the Star Diamond Castle like before. It turned out that the original owner of the Star Diamond Castle had not only left behind a castle, he had also left behind an incomparably large network of connections for his son. There were people taking care of him everywhere, including the most upright and strictest principal in the school. It would be strange if the Silver Maple City Lord would become enemies with such a person. The black-bearded old man thought it through. He couldn't help but secretly have a thought. Since this Titan Baron, who had inherited the Star Diamond Castle, had so many people taking care of him, why not add flowers to the brocade? Being on good terms with a leader with real power, status and a bright future was far better than being on good terms with a colleague of the same level. Almost instantly, the black-bearded old man drew a clear line between himself and Fan Qingzong. Red Consul? This wasn't a lifelong job, it was just an official that was elected once every 5 years. How could it be compared to a leader who had a territory and power for life? For a person like the Star Diamond Castle's owner, his future was limitless. Forget about being a city lord, he might even become a king in the future. Right now, investing in him at the very beginning was undoubtedly more effective than investing in him hundreds or thousands of times in the future. Titan Baron, if you are not familiar with the exchange conference, I have a servant beside me who is quite quick-witted. Why don't you let her accompany you for a walk? The black-bearded old man decided to use a honey trap. Gifting a beautiful female servant was one of the most commonly used methods of forming alliances among nobles. Thank you for your kind intentions. Maybe next time. Right now, I still need to focus on my studies. Yu Yang declined tactfully. Yes. When Baron Titan's evaluation ceremony is over, I will immediately congratulate Lord Baron. At that time, Lord Baron might have already been promoted to Viscount, or even an even higher Earl. The black-bearded old man laughed heartily, not minding the fact that he was rejected by Yu Yang in the slightest. He could also see that a young leader with a bright future like Baron Titan would definitely be the school's goal of nurturing him with all its might. If not, the principal would not be so extravagant as to give this young leader 1,000 sky crystals to buy as much as he wanted. Thank you for your kind intentions once again. I have something to do and will be heading out for a while. Let's talk again later. Yu Yang smiled as he bid farewell. What do you mean? Fan Qingzong felt more uncomfortable than a person who had been constipated for 10 days. He could not hold it in any longer and asked the black-bearded old man. He is just a brat who is still wet behind the ears. Do you really need to suck up to him like this? Although we belong to different factions, we have always been on good terms. You did not lend me a helping hand today, but instead hit me when I was down and changed your direction to support that brat? Fan Qingzong, there are actually many choices as a person. There is no need to stubbornly stick to one path. The black-bearded old man was also a political expert. Even after being scolded, his smile did not change. Fine, then we'll see. Fan Qingzong was furious. Traitor, you still have reason? I won't be seeing you out. The black-bearded old man chuckled on the surface, but in his heart, he seriously despised Fan Qingzong's actions. You're not an idiot, are you? Why do you have to risk your life and become enemies with a leader like Baron Titan for the sake of a bit of face? Even a blind person could see that this young man's future had already been paved 10 years ago. Even people like Silver Maple City's master and Zhonghua fawned over him. What does a mere red counselor count for? If you were born an idiot and couldn't see the big picture, then so be it. But you are a smart person, yet you let your jealousy blind your eyes. Even though you know you are in the wrong, you would rather die than turn back. It really makes people speechless. You are trying to throw an egg against a rock. Seeking your own death is your own business. But you can't drag your ally down with you, right? I am only your political ally, not your biological father. Even if I were, it would be natural for your biological father to turn to someone else in this situation. The black-bearded old man shook his head and directly blacklisted Fan Qingzong. It was better to cut ties with this kind of political ally as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would ruin big things in the future. Yu Yang walked out of the Silver Maple Exhibition Hall alone. There was a wide plaza inside. There were various exhibition halls built in a ring around it. There were dozens of them. There were large and small halls. The one in Silver Maple City belonged to the large category. Inside, there were stacks of specialties and puppets being assembled. There were close to 100 of them. Other than the outer hall, the inner hall also had resting rooms and guest rooms, providing all kinds of conveniences. The small halls were usually only a third of the size of the large halls. The smallest was only a fifth. These were all joint exhibition areas provided for the use of large merchant associations or large mercenary guilds. The contents of their exhibitions were also slightly different from those of the upper class. Other than that, there was also a main hall in the central plaza. It was just that the exchange conference had not been opened yet. The various things inside were still being prepared, and the doors had not been opened yet. Yu Yang walked around the exhibition halls in a few cities. He found that most of the specialties were still on display, and the puppets were still being assembled urgently. None of them were completely prepared to open their doors to welcome the guests. Seeing that the large cities were busy, Yu Yang paid more attention to the specialties and did not make a move to buy them. The price would definitely not be cheap if he hurriedly made a move before the curtain was even opened and the others were not prepared. Moreover, this was the case. It was also easy to expose his true needs. Hence, even if he saw a very good special product, Yu Yang would only smile and pass it by. He didn't ask about the price, and didn't even inquire about their attribute. Of course, with his heaven eyes divine vision, Yu Yang didn't need to waste his time. The large exhibition halls were busy. On the other hand, there were a few small exhibition halls where a few merchant associations had entered in advance. They were more well prepared. This was also related to the fact that they, as merchants, placed great importance on the exchange conference. How much is the war beast egg? Yu Yang turned to a small exhibition hall that was jointly rented by a few mercenary groups. He discovered that the things inside had already been prepared and were just waiting for the guests to come. However, their exhibition hall was completely deserted. There was not a single person who showed any interest in it. When Yu Yang went in to take a look, he realized that the things inside were too abnormal. In the human valley, things like puppets and puppet beasts that could be converted into combat power were the most popular. Treasures like the Spring of Life and the 100 Flowers wine that could directly improve one's state were also very popular. However, things like weapons that could not be used, war beasts, and items that could not be converted into the human valley were very cheap. The human valley, or rather the humans, was just that practical. If a war beast that could reach the 5th level of heaven stage was placed anywhere, not to mention Tong Tian Tower, even in any region of the heaven realm, it would be a rare war beast that was highly sought after by everyone. But in the human valley, they were not even comparable to some edible carnivorous earth stage beasts. Because war beasts could not be used in the human valley, no matter how powerful a war beast was, it was only useless and a waste of painstaking nurturing. Of course, it could not compare to those earth stage beasts that could be converted into meat or sold for a large number of offspring. It could be said with certainty that in Human Valley, the price of a Heaven Stage Level 5 Black Dragon was far lower than that of an Earth Stage Level 3 Oily Skin Demon Pig. It was even lower than that of an Earth Stage Level 1 Long-Haired Snow Rabbit and Flowerback Guinea Pig. Flowerback guinea pigs could reproduce in large numbers. Other than providing a large amount of meat, they could also be used to eat beans. There was a type of bean in the Human Valley called the red gold bean. It was extremely hard. Only a few kinds of pikas could be half-digested. If this kind of half-digested red gold bean was used to make wine, it would be perfect. In the Human Valley, who knew how many mercenaries and civilians relied on flowerback guinea pigs to eat beans and then sold red gold wine to merchants to make a living? Could a Heaven Stage Level 5 Black Dragon do this? The Black Dragon was just a glutton. Another example was the long-haired snow rabbit. This kind of rabbit could grow its hair crazily and could be cut and sold all year round. Its quality was naturally not as good as the best white snow wool, but it reproduced quickly, had a high survival rate, and was easy to rear in captivity. It was much easier to rear than the golden-horned white sheep that had to be served well. How could a Heaven Stage Level 5 black dragon compare to this? Even if it was an oilskin demon pig, it could still be killed and sold for meat. Therefore, in the special environment of the human valley, war beasts, especially battle-type war beasts, were a tragedy. The war beast eggs that Yu Yang asked about were a pile of battle-type war beast eggs that were piled up in the corner. It was unknown how long it had been since anyone had asked about them. Among them, the quality of these war beast eggs were mostly above gold rank, and almost all of them were Heaven Stage war beasts. Raising a black dragon of Heaven Stage Level 5, he could sell some dragon blood for money, but before he could sell the dragon blood, the black dragon would probably go broke. Moreover, hatching a black dragon from an egg to an adult dragon, it was impossible for 1,000 or a few hundred years. Therefore, if there was anything more tragic than a Heaven Stage war beast, it would be a Heaven Stage war beast egg. These were existences that no one would care about, unless there was a noble who wanted to eat a Heaven Stage war beast egg drop soup. These are not carnivorous or support-type war beast eggs, they are all battle-type war beast eggs. The mercenary receptionist who heard the noise had a bitter expression on his face. Even if Yu Yang wanted to buy them, he wouldn't dare to sell them. He was afraid that Yu Yang would turn around and find trouble with him once he left. For a noble like Yu Yang, even if he was 100 times more courageous, he wouldn't dare to lie to him. Aren't war beasts divided into elemental type, strengthening type, war beast type and special type? Yu Yang laughed. Yes, it is indeed divided like that. But in private, we usually ignore elemental type and strengthening type war beasts. There is no market for those war beasts. War beasts are divided into carnivorous and non-carnivorous war beasts. Generally speaking, special type war beasts are more popular, especially for rankers with grimoires. The mercenary receptionist hurriedly explained and introduced to Yu Yang. If esteemed guest likes, you can go over there to take a look. That is our main selling area, maybe there will be something you are interested in. Although I don't really lack war beast eggs, I really can't bear to see such a waste of natural resources. Yu Yang felt that if he brought this pile of Heaven Stage war beast eggs back to Tong Tian Tower, the kings of various races would probably go crazy with joy. You really want to buy? The mercenary receptionist's eyes were even bigger than a cow's, and his mouth could fit a thunder toad. Name a price. If it's suitable, I'll buy them all. Yu Yang felt that if it was possible, it would be best to fill up all his storage rings. Then, you are serious? You really want to buy them? How about this, please give me a total of 5 heaven crystals. No, 3 heaven crystals, you can take all of them. What do you think? The mercenary receptionist was afraid that Yu Yang would turn around and leave, so he took the initiative to lower the price. He anxiously waited for Yu Yang's reply, deeply afraid that Yu Yang, who looked like a young master of a noble family, would slap him in the face. I'll place an order of 50 heaven crystals. I hope that at this time tomorrow, I can see more battle-type Heaven Stage war beast eggs piled up in front of me. Yu Yang patted the mercenary receptionist's shoulder, causing him to feel extremely flattered. Listen, if you can do this well, I'll give you an additional reward of 5 heaven crystals. The mercenary receptionist was completely dumbfounded. He didn't even know when Yu Yang left. In his mind, Yu Yang's words kept repeating endlessly. Listen, I'll give you an additional reward of 5 heaven crystals. 5 heaven crystals. Alright, last year, I worked hard for an entire year, and my income was not even half of 5 heaven crystals. But today, a noble young master casually mentioned it, and it became a tip that I might be able to get. My God, is this true? Chapter 1076. Once the mercenary receptionist reacted to the situation, he immediately reported it to his superiors in ecstasy. Forget about the fact that the trade of 50 heaven crystals had already reached half of the maximum amount of money that the mercenary groups worked together to participate in the trade meet. The fact that they could successfully sell the combat-type Heaven Stage War Beast Egg that no one had been interested in and turn it into income was already great news. However, the mercenary group leaders were dubious about this good news that fell from the sky. Impossible. Why would someone buy a combat-type Heaven Stage War Beast Egg at a high price? And they used Heaven Crystals, not Shattered Crystals. The difference between Heaven Crystals and Shattered Crystals was that the upper class in Human Valley only acknowledged Heaven Crystals, and the laws also only acknowledged Heaven Crystals as official currency. They ignored the existence of Shattered Crystals, which was a substitute currency used by the people. Since Heaven Crystals were rare, not everyone had the right to possess them. Many of the commoners and mercenaries began to use a type of transparent crystal to replace Heaven Crystals tens of thousands of years ago for the sake of making their lives more convenient. Even though the upper echelons of society did not approve of it, the appearance of this temporary currency known as Shattered Crystal did indeed make the lives of the commoners more convenient. It was impossible for the commoners to use the expensive and rare Heaven Crystals to buy eggs or vegetables as the mainstream currency in their daily life. Hence, they used Shattered Crystals as their substitute currency. They did not need to barter with other items that were strenuous and troublesome. In Human Valley, even though the officials did not acknowledge the exchange rate between Shattered Crystals and Heaven Crystals, it was still rather stable when it came to the commoners' daily expenses, and there were very few large fluctuations. Usually, one Heaven Crystal could be exchanged for more than 1,000 to 1,200 Shattered Crystals. In some regions, one could even exchange for 1,500 Shattered Crystals. Of course, this was an irreversible one-way exchange. This meant that if there were people in the upper class who needed it, they could use Heaven Crystals to exchange for Shattered Crystals from the commoners, but it was impossible for the mercenary groups among the commoners to use Shattered Crystals to exchange for Heaven Crystals from the nobles. The exchange between Heaven Crystals and Shattered Crystals usually existed among the commoners, and the main exchange point was at the reputable merchant guilds. I think this is very suspicious. One of the mercenary group leaders frowned. That's right, another person said. Think about it calmly. This might be a scam. How could a noble young master who was so generous with his money not have servants by his side? If a noble young master needs a heaven-ranked beast egg for something, even if these things are useful, why would he need to come here personally? With a noble young master's arrogance and status, he probably wouldn't even glance at a battle-type heaven-ranked beast egg. Even if he really wanted it, he could just send a servant here to buy it in bulk. Why would he lower his status and come to our small exhibition hall? That makes sense. If a noble young master wants it, even if he doesn't spend money, there will be countless people fighting to please him. The third mercenary leader nodded in agreement. An order of 50 Heaven Crystals to purchase a Heaven Stage War Beast Egg. This is too much. If this is a scam, we must not fall for it. Otherwise, we will lose everything. Could it be that our competitors are playing tricks? They used this evil plan to trick us into buying a large number of worthless battle-type heaven-ranked beast eggs. They made us waste a year's worth of savings and bankrupt us. However, if this is really the order that noble young master wants, and we did not accept it because of our suspicions, when he comes again tomorrow, he will definitely be angry because of our impoliteness and suspicion. At that time, I'm afraid we will miss this once-in-a-lifetime trade opportunity. The mercenary receptionist felt that Yu Yang did not seem like a scammer. After all, that superior bearing was not something that a scammer could imitate. Although he could not see what kind of status that noble badge represented, it was definitely not a fake badge. That young master was definitely a noble. The only thing that the mercenary receptionist could not be sure of was whether that noble young master with an extraordinary temperament really wanted a heaven-ranked beast egg, or if he was making a bet with his companions to tease them, these little mercenaries. If it was the latter, then he would cause a few mercenary groups to go bankrupt. Thinking about it, that noble young master seemed to be too easygoing. He did not have a domineering arrogance, and the tip of 5 heaven crystals was too high. Could it really be a joke to make fun of him? Could it be that because of a moment of greed, he was going to cause everyone to go bankrupt? The mercenary receptionist's thoughts flashed like lightning. After thinking for a while, he felt cold sweat all over his body. The opportunity was right in front of him. Was it a real opportunity or a terrifying trap? This was unlikely to be a real order, because there were too many suspicious points. However, if this order was real, everyone was reluctant to part with such a heavy order of 50 heaven crystals to buy a worthless heaven-ranked beast egg. If they really completed this transaction, they believed that everyone would wake up laughing in their sleep. However, there were too many suspicious points, and the impossible cruel reality forced everyone to not accept the order. "Boss Tai, what do you think?" Everyone looked at the silent curly-bearded man sitting in the middle. The curly-bearded man stroked his beard and thought for a long time. Finally, he made a decision. He stood up abruptly. His broad shoulders were like city walls, and his tall and sturdy body was like a mountain. He first looked around at the people around him, and his tiger eyes shone with a terrifying light. "Before I called everyone here to discuss, I have asked when Xin carefully and understood all the details. At the same time, I also believe in when Xin. As the most eloquent and knowledgeable person among us, he has always been everyone's most loyal friend and brother. The order must have a certain degree of authenticity. That's why when Xin would report it to his superiors. Believe me, he will not betray his heart because of temptation, and he will not harm everyone because of temptation. Although today's order seems so unbelievable, everyone knows that this is Human Valley, and even the most unbelievable things can happen. Here, I will not force all of you to accept the order, because your concerns are right, but as an old mercenary who has been waiting for a chance, I, Iron Lion, will definitely not miss any chance. Even if this is a trap, I will still give it a try. I will accept the big order of 50 heaven crystals." Hearing the curly-bearded man's words, a few mercenary leaders quickly stood up. They all spoke up. "We don't mean that. We also want to accept the order, but it's too bizarre, so we have our concerns. That's right, we swore a long time ago that we will share blessings and difficulties together. This time, no matter what, we will not let Boss Iron take the order alone. I'll just say one thing. We acknowledge you, Boss Iron. Even if we know that this is a huge trap, since you want to jump into it, we have nothing else to say. We will jump with you. Even though we aren't rich and live a tight life every day, it won't be a problem for us to gather a few heaven crystals. If we really lose everything, we will at most endure for another 1.5 years. It's not like we haven't endured it before, and we will definitely not let you fall alone. There's no need to say anything else. Boss Iron, you are the boss, and we are indebted to you for taking care of us. Since you have decided to accept the order today, then we will accept it. I will take out 10 heaven crystals and gamble with you." 10 heaven crystals? I don't have that many. Let's just gather 5 heaven crystals. I will also gamble with all my capital. 8 heaven crystals. I hope this is real. God bless us, this must be real, or else our days will be hard. The mercenary receptionist, Sherwin-Sheen, secretly wiped the corners of his eyes. He hoped from the bottom of his heart that the order was real and that he did not scam everyone, or else, how could he live with his conscience? "All of you, take back the heaven crystals. I have been a mercenary for hundreds of years, and I do have some savings. I will take out these 50 heaven crystals first. If the order doesn't go through, you don't have to suffer a great loss. If it goes through, we will split it according to the shares we put together." When the curly-bearded man said this, everyone objected. No one was willing to do so, but the curly-bearded man waved his hand in a heroic manner. "Stop arguing. While your groups are pretty good, you started late and you can't compare to my Iron Lion squad. Besides, since you acknowledged me as your big brother today, I will have to act like a big brother. I will pay for the 50 heaven crystals, and we will do it this way. No one is allowed to have any objections." How can we do this? We absolutely can't. We must gather enough heaven crystals, or else, even if the order really goes through, we will not split it. After arguing for a while, they finally came to an agreement. A few mercenary group leaders gathered 30 heaven crystals for the curly-bearded man, Iron Lion. The remaining 20 heaven crystals would be taken by Iron Lion alone. If the order really went through, they would split it according to the same ratio. After deciding to accept the order, all the members of the mercenary groups moved out and madly bought the heaven-ranked war beast eggs that no one had been interested in. Not only in the exhibition halls of the exchange meet, but also in the business district of Golden Leaf City, the members of the mercenary groups even traveled thousands of miles to the nearby big cities to buy a large number of heaven-ranked war beast eggs. For a moment, the merchants were amazed, and thought that these poor mercenaries had gone crazy. When the last group of mercenaries rushed back from thousands of miles away, carrying heavy bags on their backs, the mercenaries heaved a sigh of relief, but at the same time, they felt like they had nowhere to go. The order of 50 heaven crystals was finally completed. But was this real? If the order was just a joke made by the noble young master, then the consequences would be unimaginable. Right now, no one could guarantee anything. Other than waiting in agony, there was no other way to make everyone relax. Looking at the rising sun, no one spoke. They only sat quietly in the exhibition hall, waiting for the arrival of the noble young master who had placed the order but did not pay the deposit. The heaven-ranked war beast eggs in the exhibition hall were piled up like a mountain. In order to complete this order, the 6 mercenary groups had used all their manpower and resources. There was no room for failure, otherwise it would definitely be a fatal blow. In the wait that felt like a year, the morning gradually passed. The noble young master did not appear. Everyone tried their best to comfort themselves that the noble young master would not wake up so early, and would come at noon. However, noon had passed, and he still did not appear. Looking at the sun gradually setting, everyone was anxious, but no one dared to admit that this was a trap, a scam that would make everyone go bankrupt. The mercenary reception sure when Xin was restless, as if he was being bitten by ants. The more time passed, the more pain he felt in his heart. Although no one blamed him for being so easily deceived, his heart felt as if it was being cut by a knife. If it was not for the curly-bearded big boss Iron Lion who was still supporting him calmly, when Xin would have raised his knife and killed himself. He sat on the steps at the entrance, looking into the distance with his lifeless eyes. In his heart, he hoped that the noble young master that he had been looking forward to countless times would appear in front of him. If he really appeared, when Xin did not mind kneeling in front of him and kowtowing to him 100 times. Otherwise, he would not be able to express the gratitude in his heart. However, would that noble young master really come back? When the sun was about to set, dusk arrived. When Xin was completely in despair. At this moment, he no longer had the strength to support his body. It was as if his spine had been pulled out by someone. He laid on the ground like a pile of mud, and tears flowed out uncontrollably. It was him who had harmed all his brothers. It was him who was greedy for the 5 heaven crystals, and in the end, he was fooled by someone who could see that it was impossible. What should we do? Seeing the sun setting, the mercenary group leaders could no longer sit still. They all stood at the entrance. Until the last moment, they still hoped for a miracle, even if they knew that the noble young master who had casually teased when Xian would not come. Wait! The curly-bearded big boss squeezed out a word from between his teeth. On the surface, he was still calm, but the curly-bearded big boss Iron Lion, in order to sit still, he secretly broke one of his pinky fingers and used the pain to barely endure it. He knew that he absolutely could not panic, and definitely could not fall, or else the 6 mercenary groups would collapse in an instant. Even if he was already in despair, before he thought of a way to deal with the aftermath, he felt that he had to hold on. No matter what, he could not fall. The sun completely set. The despairing Wen Xian let out a heart-wrenching howl. He knelt at the bottom of the stairs and knelt before his brothers in the exhibition hall. He knelt before the 6 mercenary group leaders and the curly-bearded big boss, Iron Lion. He kowtowed so hard that his forehead bled. Then, under everyone's shocked gazes, he took out a dagger. "It's all my fault. I deserve to die. For the sake of the tip of 5 heaven crystals, I caused everyone to die. When Xian is too ashamed to face my brothers, so I'll take my leave first." The curly-bearded big boss, Iron Lion, let out a sky-shaking roar. Like an enraged lion, he pounced on Wen Xian and grabbed the sharp little puppet dagger with one hand. Fresh blood dripped onto the ground and onto Wen Xian's trembling body. The curly-bearded big boss was like a mad lion as he roared at Wen Xian with a thunderous roar. "You bastard! Even if someone wants to die, it won't be you, you brat. Without my approval, you don't have the right to commit suicide. From the day your parents entrusted you to me, your life has been in my hands. If we suffer a loss, then we suffer a loss. We accept our fate. When Xian, we decided to take the job together. It has nothing to do with you. 50 heaven crystals is nothing. We can earn it back. When Xian, listen to Boss Iron. Don't give him any more trouble. Everyone, think about how we should deal with the aftermath. You're crying and screaming that you want to die, and you're making me feel a little stifled. Isn't it just 50 heaven crystals? If you can't think it through, you can earn it back in the future. If you feel guilty, you can work harder in the future and make a few real deals to earn back our money." While it was noisy, a voice that was as clear as a spring and incredibly pleasant to the ears suddenly rose clearly in the midst of all the noise. "So noisy. Are you guys going to close down and stop doing business?" The moment this voice came out, everyone was like a thunderclap. All of them were completely stunned, and no one could open their mouths to answer. Everyone's gazes were gathered on the same spot. After confirming it repeatedly, they realized that the person who spoke was a young man dressed in luxurious clothes and had an extraordinary presence. The mercenaries had seen many young masters of nobility, but they had never seen one as noble and elegant as this young man in front of them. They had seen the young city master of Golden Leaf City, who had the most noble presence and was said to be the most handsome man in the 10 cities, but compared to this young man in front of them, he did not even have the right to carry his shoes. When the mercenaries saw this young noble master, they could not help but feel ashamed of their inferiority. It was as if this young master had descended from the heavens to stand here, and this was the greatest honor in everyone's life. "You're all crying here. Are you suspecting that my order is a scam?" When this young noble said this, everyone lowered their heads in shame. That was indeed what they thought in their hearts, and they had even cursed it countless times. "All right, because of my negligence yesterday, I forgot to give you a deposit when I placed the order. I've caused you to suffer, and I apologize to you here. Actually, you should have reminded me earlier, because I have never personally bought anything before. I didn't know that I needed to pay a deposit when I placed the order." Everyone was shocked when they heard the young nobleman's words. This young master was actually a lord with real power and territory? This was too unbelievable. The last sentence made everyone sweat profusely and feel ashamed. He was a suzerain who had never bought anything before. How did he know that he needed to pay a deposit when he placed the order? Usually, the suzerain would just order whatever he wanted, and would not care about something as small as 50 heaven crystals. Who would have thought that it would cause a group of mercenaries to almost commit suicide together? When they thought of this, everyone felt even more ashamed. They wished that the ground would immediately crack open and they could crawl into it. When he said that he had never personally bought anything and forgot to pay a deposit when he placed the order, of course, it was Yu Yang who was putting on an act. It was not easy to play the role of a superior suzerain. Furthermore, Yu Yang couldn't say that he wanted to use them to do things. Placing the order was just a test. His goal was to test their hearts. Now that the test was over, they could work for him with peace of mind. In order to make the mercenaries work for him properly, it was necessary to put on an act. Yu Yang casually handed a small card to the shivering mercenary receptionist, serene exhilarating. On it was a special card with 100 heaven crystals. The 50 heaven crystals are your payment. You can withdraw it directly from this card. Any merchant association can cash it in if you mention the name of my Star Diamond Castle's master, the Titan Suzerain. That's right, the 5 heaven crystals that I promised you yesterday. You can withdraw it directly from this card. Young mercenary, please don't cry over 5 heaven crystals. Your tears will cause me, a kind-hearted suzerain, to feel incredibly troubled. I don't want to bear the infamy of deceiving a mere mercenary. Plop. The mercenary receptionist, serene exhilarating, immediately knelt down. He couldn't say a single word. His lips were trembling, but his tears rolled down like a waterfall. Plop plop. Behind him, the mercenaries all knelt down one after another. Including the 6 great mercenary commanders, they were so moved that their bodies were trembling. The curly-bearded man was the only mercenary who didn't cry. He had broken another finger bone and resisted the urge to cry with great pain. He also knelt down on one knee and took the lead to pay his most sincere and respectful respects to Yu Yang. He raised his hands high above his head and forcefully suppressed his sobs. Kind and great Lord, please allow us to follow you. Lord, we don't have great power, but we have the most fearless courage and unchanging loyalty. If you are willing to accept us, we are willing to give up everything for you, including our lives. Yu Yang was overjoyed. He originally thought that it would take a few more days before he could subdue these guys. He didn't expect that he would be able to subdue them so quickly. Of course, he couldn't agree too quickly. Brave and loyal mercenaries, can you tell me the reason why you took the initiative to follow me? The curly-bearded man raised his head and looked at Yu Yang. His face was extremely serious as he replied word by word, because you are a good person. A good lord like you is as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. It's worth us mercenaries to protect you with our lives. Damn, he had been given a good person card. Luckily this guy wasn't a girl, otherwise Yu Yang would be depressed. Thinking about it, although he had received a good person card for no reason, it wasn't bad to have a large group of mercenaries following him. Especially when this group of mercenaries had some ability to do things. Yu Yang pretended to be deep in thought. Under the expectant gazes of the mercenaries behind the curly-bearded man, he revealed a smile that was brighter than the sun. All right, I suddenly feel that it's not bad to have someone beside me to help me do things. Hua, this time, it was as if a bomb of joy had exploded in the crowd. The mercenaries' hearts were so excited that they exploded. A smile flashed across Yu Yang's eyes. Ji worry, Kai Tian Demon Venerable, I have already started to move. Although I won't do it openly, I will definitely not be slower than you guys. Next, it's a matter of who can be a step faster and snatch the lead. In the human valley, the more sensational the competition was, the better it was. Sometimes, some small roads in the countryside that no one had ever walked on might be easier to get to the final goal than the so-called sunny road. Moreover, 10,000 years ago, Her Majesty Queen Vivian Li had already tried a similar method and succeeded. There was also Sister Xin Yang from 10 years ago. She had also achieved a height that was difficult for the later generations to reach. With their precious experience and the help of the girls behind them, he would definitely be able to win in this human valley where he could taste all the flavors of life. Ji worry, Kai Tian Demon Venerable, not only would he win this battle, he would also surpass you guys. This human valley would be the starting point to surpass you guys. Chapter 1077. What was the most important resource in the world? Different people in different regions would have different answers to this question, but in Human Valley, everyone would answer with certainty: God's Stone. God's Stone was a product of Human Valley. Whether it was Tong Tian Tower or Heaven Realm, there was no such thing. Even if there was, it was a rare item brought back by challengers who entered the trial grounds. God's Stone and Heaven Crystal had similarities and differences. The similarity was that they were both crystals that stored a huge amount of energy. Once it was activated and used, it would have unparalleled power. The difference between a God's Stone and a Heaven Crystal was that a Heaven Crystal could only be used on living beings. Its best target was a human, followed by beasts with flesh, blood, and souls. A Heaven Crystal was completely useless against a puppet that had no life, flesh, or body. But God's Stone was the opposite. It could only be used on lifeless, fleshless puppet war dolls. In Human Valley, God's Stone had another name: endless energy. As long as there was light, God's Stone could absorb light energy and recover the energy lost inside its crystal. Its recovery speed was also relatively fast. If it was a fist-sized God's Stone used as the core driving energy of a puppet beast, after it was exhausted, it would only take 1 day to completely recover during the day when there was sufficient light energy. Because of this, God's Stone had the beautiful name of endless energy. God's Stone, in a special place like Human Valley, was the most popular. Its price, during the war, could even surpass Heaven Crystal of the same quality. Everyone wanted to have a large amount of God's Stone, except for Yu Yang. What do you think is the most important resource in the world? Yu Yang, who had returned to the Grimoire world, asked Princess Sisai and Yu Yu with a smile. Heaven Crystal. Princess Sisai snorted lightly. Other than Human Valley, God's Stone is useless. How can it be compared to Heaven Crystal? It's not Heaven Crystal, it should be runes. As long as you can master the power of runes, then you can truly master endless energy. Why is our Star Diamond Castle's Baron Titan not interested in the God's Stone that everyone covets? Wasn't it all because he had grasped the power of runes and could use the Creation God Pearl and the Creation Domain to continuously create endless puppets of war from nothing? If he hadn't inherited Mother's knowledge and grasped the ancient rune's limitless power, would our young Master Titan be as carefree as he is now? Drunken Cat giggled as she replied. Wrong. Yu Yang indicated that he wasn't asking for this answer. If it's not a Heaven Crystal or a rune, then what is it? Inan was curious. It's a human. You didn't hear wrongly, it's people. Yu Yang's answer stunned the Drunken Cat, Big Sis, and the others, but they immediately reacted and agreed. That's a little shameless. Humans aren't resources. However, if you insist on saying that they are resources, then humans are a kind of limitless resource that can be continuously regenerated and used endlessly. A single person's strength is very weak, but once the number of people increases, then the power that people, a resource, can display can increase by millions of times, creating many inconceivable miracles. Princess Qian Qian agreed with Yu Yang's answer. No wonder you've been trying to collect human resources ever since you entered Human Valley, Xiao San. Yu Yu smiled. No matter what, she would always support him with unlimited tolerance. When this younger brother of hers created miracles and achieved glory, she felt proud of him from the bottom of her heart. Human, this kind of resource, not only can it be regenerated, it's also inexhaustible, and it won't expire. Most importantly, the more people there are, the more power they can unleash. Of course, this is under the situation where the command is appropriate and everyone works together. If there is internal disunity, and everyone has ulterior motives, then a resource like human will turn against its owner and become the world's greatest disaster. Yu Yang flicked the crescent blade in his hand lightly and laughed. Human, this kind of resource is a double-edged sword. If you don't use it well, you might hurt yourself. But if you use it well, it will become the world's most powerful resource, and also the world's sharpest sword. Did you comprehend all this in the Kendo world? Princess Sisai remembered Yu Yang's comprehension in the Kendo world that day. Good comprehension, there's nothing I can do about it. The expression on Yu Yang's face right now was as if he was asking for a beating since he was so smart. This made Princess Qian so angry that she wanted to bite his nose off with a single bite. Human sword? The sword of humanity. Back then, when the gods created the humanoid divine weapon, was it to give us a hint? Nan suddenly asked. Yu Yang was dumbfounded when he heard that. If that's really the case, then the human valley is really like that, because the Yao Yu sisters are not restricted by the ancient code. I seem to have a feeling, it's weird, but I can't tell what's going on. Princess Sisai, who had the 6 records, inherent skill, also seemed to have caught some inspiration, but for a moment she couldn't express it clearly. The human valley is not restricted by the human divine weapon. Before the royal cat Sis could finish, Yu Yang shouted, giving everyone a fright. I understand the secret of the life in the human valley, at least I understand one thing. Yu Yang was so excited that he jumped 3 feet. He hugged the little girl Nan, who inadvertently revealed the secret, and gave her a heavy kiss. He then hugged the drunken cat and kissed her passionately. Even the slightly resistant Princess Sisai couldn't resist his excitement and kissed her successfully. Little San, calm down. Yu was really afraid that Yu Yang would also kiss her forcefully. She knew that it was because he was too happy, but she couldn't, it was too embarrassing. I'm very calm, Sister Yu, come with me. Yu Yang originally wanted to hug Sister Yu and kiss her, but when he heard that, he quickly controlled his impulse and grabbed her hand instead, pulling her directly to the laboratory. He was a little impatient. He wanted to prove that the secret of the human valley that he had just comprehended was real. He couldn't wait for a moment. He didn't even have time to explain it to Princess Sisai and the others. Don't pull me, little San, quickly let go. Yu couldn't do anything. She couldn't resist Yu Yang's strength and excitement. She was both angry and amused as she let him pull her away. This kind of excited reaction, it wasn't the first time she had encountered such an impatient little brother. What could she do? Although this kid is a big pervert, his comprehension is really not bad. Drunken Cat looked at Yu Yang and Yu leaving, and praised him with a smile. This time I have to thank Nan, it was you who enlightened him. Otherwise, that guy might have stayed in the human valley for a year and still might not be able to understand the real secret of the human valley. Princess Sisai reached out and gently pinched Nan's soft little face. As long as I don't ruin his plans. Nan stuck out her little pink tongue in a good mood, and mischievously made a face at Princess Sisai. To be able to help him, even if it was unintentional, it was definitely the pride of her heart. She wasn't like Princess Sisai or Shui Wuxia, who could help him in all aspects, nor was she like Sky Law, Fallen Flowers, Sister Wuhan and Sister Yu, who each had their own skills that no one could replace. Although Nan had always used the energy of the dual cultivation to assist Yu Yang, raising and purifying Yu Bing's energy, but this was done in the secret dual cultivation, and couldn't be openly explained. Moreover, Nan also hoped that she could help him even more, and not just be his spirit mirror beauty, not just be his obedient little wife. In the human valley, Naturally, no one knew that Yu Yang in the laboratory had comprehended a certain secret with Yu Yu's help. It was still operating as usual. Everyone lived according to the rules, playing their own roles. The nobles were still arrogant and aloof, and the commoners were still working hard for their meals. Yu Yang, who came out of the grimoire world, accepted the curly-bearded Iron Lion, when Xin and the other mercenaries as his subordinates. On the morning of the second day, Yu Yang came in the morning light. The radiance of the sun shone down on his back, making this young lord of the Star-Diamond Castle look like a god. The mercenaries who came out to welcome him were all stunned. "Young Master Titan, we are preparing to set out to purchase more Heaven Stage Warbeast eggs." The curly-bearded Iron Lion felt that Yu Yang must have a new mission this time. "No hurry." Yu Yang waved his hand. When everyone is preparing to do something, they don't have to do it immediately. Purchasing Warbeast eggs, with yesterday's incident, if we do it again today, it will definitely attract the attention of people with ulterior motives. At that time, not to mention the high price, there will probably be people who think that it is a rare commodity and deliberately lower the price. Our target of purchasing will not change, but we need to be flexible and use some trick. Yu Yang passed a piece of paper to the curly-bearded Iron Lion. On it, there were close to 100 items that needed to be purchased. "Do you want all of these things? Some of them are not worth much at all." The curly-bearded Iron Lion looked at it and was extremely astonished. "We can't just list out the things we need. Some of them are needed, some of them are necessary, and some of them are unnecessary. But if we put them all together, it will be more confusing and confusing, making it impossible for people to guess our real goal." Yu Yang gave the mercenaries a reassuring pill and smiled. "Buy as many items as you want on the list, the more the better. Keep buying, don't stop no matter what, understood?" The curly-bearded Iron Lion had already straightened out his identity. As a subordinate, he naturally didn't need to question the Lord's words. "In order to buy more things as soon as possible, I will give you another 300 heaven crystals." Yu Yang handed over another crystal card. When Iron Lion took it, the number on it was even hotter than fire. Iron Lion almost lost his grip and dropped it. Actually, the heaven-ranked beast egg that cost 50 heaven crystals yesterday wasn't worth that much. Furthermore, we mainly used that order to convert the shattered crystals into heaven crystals of real value. We shamelessly accepted the reward. The remaining 45 heaven crystals is already enough to buy a large amount of items. Those worthless items, if piled up, would probably be higher than a mountain. Now that you are giving us another 300 heaven crystals, we are extremely ashamed. We have just returned to the Star-Diamond Castle and haven't done anything loyal. We don't dare to accept such a large amount of heaven crystals." The curly-bearded Iron Lion bowed and apologized to Yu Yang with a slightly ashamed expression. He expressed that he and his companions had slightly deceived him yesterday and asked for the Lord's forgiveness. At the same time, he felt that he hadn't truly proven his loyalty, so he didn't dare to accept such a large amount of heaven crystals, even if it was needed for a mission. 300 heaven crystals is really too much. "Young Master Titan, please take it back. We will buy a portion of it first. It won't be too late to report to you if we don't have enough." The mercenary receptionist, Sherwin Xin, who was in a complete mess yesterday, also hurried forward to pay his respects to Yu Yang and suggested, "Listen, what I lack the least is heaven crystals." Yu Yang said something that made all the nobles in the entire human valley lose their luster. This sentence completely stunned the mercenaries. Lack the least is heaven crystals? If the mercenaries' feelings were to be described by the idiotic youths of the Chinese Empire, it would be, "What the f***ck, this is awesome." The curly-bearded Iron Lion suddenly felt like crying. He had actually followed such an awesome lord. Could it be that his ancestors' graves were emitting smoke? At the same time, the Lord took out a huge sum of 300 heaven crystals for him. This kind of trust made him feel touched, as if he couldn't repay it even if he sacrificed his life for it. What was the most touching thing in the world? It wasn't providing charcoal in a snowy day, it wasn't adding flowers to a brocade, it wasn't meeting an old friend in a foreign land, it wasn't even the wedding night, it was the time to pass the exam. To an adult, to a man who desired to stand out, to obtain the recognition and trust of the superior. This was the most important thing. Appreciation and trust were grace that a subordinate could not repay even if he worked hard for his entire life. Other than loyalty, nothing else could compare to it. I believe in you. Do your job well. Yu Yang patted the curly-bearded Iron Lion's shoulder lightly. Although these two pats of encouragement were light, Iron Lion felt that his entire soul was trembling. Understood. Iron Lion used all the strength he had in his life to squeeze out a trembling reply from his almost clogged throat. Other than the things on the list, if you discover anything else, you can also order a precious plant called the Earth Core Fire Lotus. If you discover one that is more than 1,000 years old, report it to me immediately. In addition, you have a huge sum of money on you, so you may have merchants who want to sell you parangons. Remember, you don't want a single parangon, especially not parangons that come into contact with special plants like the geocentric fire lotus. If it's possible, I would rather you buy a large number of slaves. Yu Yang gave this order to the curly-bearded Iron Lion, when Xian and a few other mercenary group leaders. Yes. Although Iron Lion and the others didn't understand, they didn't need to understand. The Lord had given them an order, so they just had to follow it. That's right, before I say anything, you better pretend that you don't know me in front of others. Send the goods directly to the Star Diamond Castle. Butler Dooley will arrange everything for you. Don't let others easily notice that I am the owner of the Star Diamond Castle. My identity is only that of a student in a school of a heaven's chosen wanderer. Yu Yang warned softly. Then, he rode the morning light and returned to Silver Maple City's exhibition hall, once again becoming his obedient student. No one knew that in just 2 days' time, a huge whirlpool that was about to stir up the entire Human Valley's business circle had already formed. Through Enan's unintentional enlightenment, Yu Yang, who had comprehended the Human Valley's secret and started to use the people's sword, was facing the rising sun in the east, revealing a smile that was brighter than the sun. Chapter 1078. The trade fair in Golden Leaf City was officially opened. Even though it was a trade fair for prodigies and wanderers in name, it was actually a chance for the major forces to compete in secret or trade with each other. Quite a number of temporary greenhouses were set up in the outer area. These were the exhibition spots for commoners, mercenaries, and small merchants. They did not have the right to enter the venue, much less the center hall of the trade fair, which only nobles could enter. The upper class turned a blind eye to the various items sold by the commoners in the greenhouses outside the venue. However, it was undeniable that these commoners would bring more vitality, income, and choices to the trade fair. A successful trade fair in any place would increase the prosperity of business. No one would complain about having too much income from business and taxes. Little Titan, how are your gains over the past 2 days? The headmaster brought Yu Yang to the central hall to attend the unveiling ceremony. Halfway through, he remembered something and casually asked, Not bad. I've already spent 400 heaven crystals. When Yu Yang answered, Counselor Fan, who was about to mock him, almost fell to the ground. What kind of spending speed is this? Even spending money like it's dirt isn't as exaggerated as you, alright? In less than 2 days, you've already spent 400 heaven crystals. You're not spending money, you're throwing money into the ocean. Fortunately, the heaven crystals Yu Yang spent were not money that Counselor Fan had a share in. Otherwise, as the Red Archon, Counselor Fan would definitely die from anger. The black-bearded old man also sucked in a sharp breath. Just what kind of treasure did he buy with 400 heaven crystals? Very good. Heaven crystals are meant to be spent, not spent. The principal nodded. He was afraid that his favorite student would be reluctant to spend money. In his heart, Yu Yang was the best student and the most filial child in the world. He was most at ease when it came to spending money. In other words, he was afraid that this child would be reluctant to spend money. The principal did not ask Yu Yang about his shopping expenses. He felt that it must be something useful. It was a necessity for his studies or research, not some boring luxury item, which was why this child would order it. Counselor Fan was so jealous of the principal's favor that his eyes were about to bleed. Why didn't the principal value him so much when he was in school? How infuriating! The Central Guild Hall looked a bit like a football field, except that it was much larger. Below it was an incomparably spacious and luxurious hall. The roof couldn't be opened, and it was decorated with half of the castle-shaped building and a few pillar-shaped towers. Only the nobles with the most distinguished status were qualified to go up to the upper castles to gather. An administrator like Fan Zhongjing could be considered a character, but he didn't have the qualifications to enter the gathering of the upper nobles. Out of all the officials and celebrities that had personally come to Silver Maple City, only a celebrity, like the principal, had the right to enter. Why don't you take a stroll down there first? I'll talk to a few old friends first. If it's possible, I'll introduce a few to you. The principal naturally wanted to bring Yu Yang to the upper level of the central hall, but Yu Yang was still unwilling to reveal his identity as the owner of the Star Diamond Castle, so he refused. The headmaster thought that he wanted to keep a low profile and study the flying puppet, but he was afraid that others would rob him of his favorite student if they found out about it. Hence, he didn't insist. As for Yu Yang's wish to listen to the 1,000-year great sage's lecture, the headmaster would naturally try his best to fulfill it. If it was possible, he would also like to invite the 1,000-year great sage to give Yu Yang a private lesson. The master of Golden Leaf City was accompanied by dozens of influential people. He presided over the opening ceremony of the exchange conference. A routine opening speech, a passionate encouragement, and a speech that reminisced about the past and looked forward to the future made Yu Yang feel sleepy. This kind of speech was definitely performed every day in the official meetings of the Celestial Empire. It had already become the official cliché. Yu Yang sometimes rejoiced that he was just an otaku before he transmigrated, and not someone who worked in the official circles. Otherwise, he would have to speak or listen to those empty clichés every day. It would be the biggest torture in his life. After transmigrating, no matter if it was Jun Wuyu, the steady and practical Xia Emperor, or the Tian Luo Emperor, who hid in the mirage every day and was too lazy to attend court, none of them were seniors or superiors who spoke nonsense. When the speech was over, warm applause sounded like a tide. Following that, it was the speech of a few leaders. The people below seemed to be listening with great interest, but they were all daydreaming. In fact, they were almost the same as Yu Yang, who was so bored that he kept yawning. After that, it was the speech of some representatives. For example, the elite student representative of the Heavens Chosen Wanderer, the fourth son of the master of Golden Leaf City, Kinch. He was the reincarnator who was said to have invented the strong magnetic war doll. Yu Yang started to feel that this Jinkala was not bad. To be able to invent the strong magnetic war doll, its power on the battlefield would not be inferior to the invisible war doll developed by the Kai Tian Demon Lord. On the way, Yu Yang even inquired about the strong magnetic war doll. Unexpectedly, the principal looked down on him. He did not say it clearly, but hinted that the real creator of the strong magnetic war doll was someone else, and not the fourth son of the master of Golden Leaf City, Kinch. Hearing this insider information, Yu Yang immediately felt that he did not need to spend too much time on this Jinkala. It was no wonder that the principal would look down on such a person who deceives the world to gain fame. However, thinking about it, it made sense. Someone like the Kai Tian Demon Lord, who had accumulated tens of thousands of years of knowledge, could barely develop an invisible war doll. How could this almost unknown Jinkala develop a strong magnetic war doll? How could a mere Jinkala be compared to the Kai Tian Demon Lord and Ji Wuri? Even Palace Master Zhonghua and Sky Region Emperor Captain Cook did not dare to say that they could casually develop a new and unprecedented war doll in the human valley. There was only one genius in the world who had reached the realm of evildoer, and that was Yu Yang, who had obtained the inheritance of knowledge, the ancient rune imprint, the 12 zodiac temples, the resonance of the world tree's heaven stairway, the enlightenment of the ancient core of the giant sky formation, and countless other fortuitous encounters. If it was another person, they would not be able to create a batch of flying war dolls as they pleased. Moreover, Yu Yang had the double experience of how Her Majesty Queen Vivian Li and sister Xin Yang succeeded in the human valley. How can you be so rude? It is already unforgivable for you to be disrespectful in front of the nobles. You don't even abide by the basic order and deliberately do all kinds of frivolous actions. Your despicable behavior makes people look at you. I really don't know how you got your noble title. Perhaps you are one of those rumored low-level liars who specialize in impersonating nobles. Standing with Yu Yang was an elite student representing Yenyang City. This young man was probably a good friend of Golden Leaf City's Kinch. Seeing Yu Yang yawning nonstop, he was extremely annoyed. If not for his noble status, he would have thrown Yu Yang outside. Repeaters. Yu Yang glanced at this guy with 1/8 of his eyes. The repeaters that Yu Yang mentioned were those who could not enter the top 10 in the newcomer's life assessment ceremony. They would not be able to be outstanding, and would not be able to officially obtain the recognition of the elite life assessment. If this standard was used on mercenaries, they wouldn't care. It was fine as long as they could graduate early, the earlier the better. Top 10, outstanding, all these were nothing compared to the pressure of life. Nobles, especially nobles with status and position, would not be satisfied if they could not get outstanding after entering the life assessment ceremony. They would only be able to get a pass. Since there was no pressure to survive, he might as well stay in school and be like those students in Yu Yang's class. He would repeat the exams over and over again, persevering over and over again until he became one of the top 10 students with outstanding grade. If they were reincarnators, the pressure would be even greater. But if they were descendants of reincarnators born in the human valley, they would never think of leaving. They had all the time in the world and were not in a hurry. They only cared about the glory in front of them and their future status in society. Yu Yang looked down on the other party as a repeater. This was undoubtedly rubbing salt on the wound of the arrogant nobles. This was a mental blow that made one's heart ache. What kind of noble are you? Who are you pretending to be arrogant for? If you can't even get into the top 10, what's the difference between you and a commoner? Very good, so you're a new student. Let me see what a bean sprout freshman like you is capable of. Unless you can become the champion in the freshman assessment ceremony, you have no right to mock a descendant of a noble family who strives for excellence in order to stay in school and has to endure the malicious mockery of a villain. Yenyang City's student representative sneered as he retorted. No matter how beautiful your words are, you can't hide the fact that you can't graduate because you didn't get a place in the life assessment ceremony. Yu Yang's words made the other party choke. Are you purposely looking for trouble? Yenyang City's student representative was furious. I just want to say, since you're a descendant of a noble family, don't act like a mad dog and randomly bite people. Yu Yang did not even glance at him. It's not wise to provoke people you shouldn't provoke. I hope you know your place and don't become a laughingstock. I can't be bothered to argue with a liar like you. Yenyang City's student representative's companion secretly tugged at him, trying his best to hold back his anger. Other than showing off your limitless intelligence, what else do you know? Provoking Yu Yang? Picking a fight with the guy from another world? That was simply courting death. The guy from another world had experienced many battles with venomous snakes and trolls on the internet in the Celestial Empire. This time, he wasn't even serious because the opponent was too weak. If he really fought, the guy in front of him would probably be lying on the ground bleeding from all 7 orifices. Nonsense. Yenyang City's student representative felt like vomiting blood. Student, may I know where you're a new student from? I'm Chi Mu from Silvermoon City. Can we get to know each other? From the crowd, a youth in embroidered clothes with an extraordinary bearing walked out. He confidently greeted Yu Yang and expressed goodwill, as if he was interested in Yu Yang and wanted to make friends. Cough, Twilight Prince, please don't do things that will trouble us, okay? Beside the student representative from Yenyang City, there was an average-sized but gloomy companion who strongly advised Chi Mu from Silvermoon City not to make friends with Yu Yang. Especially in a situation where Yu Yang had already fallen out with them and was speaking ill of them, it was even more important not to do such an action that was close to betraying a companion. I, Chi Mu, am already an adult. I can make my own decisions when I do things. It seems like I don't need other people's guidance anymore. The youth in embroidered clothes shook his head with a smile, and then shrugged his shoulders. You really don't care about your past relationship with Guangming's 4th young master? Yenyang City's student representative was so angry that his face was a little distorted. Everyone has their own friends. The youth in embroidered clothes, Chi Mu, was still smiling. That's good. I, Yang Ping, will cut off all ties with you. We'll all go our separate ways in the future. Yenyang City's student representative suppressed his anger and left with his companion. That gloomy companion turned back to look at Yu Yang, as if he wanted to remember Yu Yang, the main culprit, firmly. Facing his companion's anger, the youth in embroidered clothes, Chi Mu, was still full of smiles. Behind him, there was also a companion who was as delicate as a woman. She asked softly, Xiao Mu, is it really okay to do this? The youth in embroidered clothes shook his head. Guangming's 4th young master is not him, Yang Ping. If his big brother, Prince Yang Quan, said so, then it's fine. He's just the 2nd son of a concubine. He's nothing. Turning around, he greeted Yu Yang, and even introduced his companion to Yu Yang as if they were old acquaintances. This is Mingzhu Prince from Gemstone Valley. Although he looks like a little girl, once he's on the battlefield, he's a madman that everyone is afraid of. He's the champion of the Heaven's Favored Child Newcomer Challenge, the overall champion of the Individual Kings competition, and the fastest knockdown record of 108 battle dolls in the Human Valley Assessment ceremony. He's also the one who set and holds the record for the fastest knockdown of 108 battle dolls. Although I, the Twilight Prince, have a bit of fame in the Human Valley, I really can't compare to Mingzhu Prince in a one-on-one battle. When Yu Yang heard this, he sized up the handsome man who was as delicate as a girl and suddenly laughed. If you were to wear female clothes, I don't think anyone would be able to recognize you as a man. The handsome man's face turned red, as if a beautiful jade had been dyed red by rouge. He clenched his fists slightly, then loosened them again, and stared at Yu Yang with a pair of eyes that were even more beautiful than a girl's. Presumptuous, you're too rude. If not for the fact that you're a newbie, I would have challenged you to a duel. Yu Yang hurriedly raised his hand. All right, I apologize. When the handsome man called Mingzhu heard this, he was still very angry. Your apology is not sincere at all. An insincere apology is still an apology. Yu Yang was using fallacious reasoning. You. The handsome man Mingzhu was so angry that he couldn't speak. Interesting. It's fine if it's that idiot Yang Ping, but I've rarely seen anyone who dares to be rude to young Master Mingzhu. I have to say, your guts are extraordinary. That's right, interesting newbie. What's your name? Where are you from? Who is your teacher? I really want to know what kind of teacher is able to teach such a daring and interesting student. The embroidered clothed man Chi Mu laughed nonstop. Let's keep it a secret for now. Yu Yang waved his hands and bid farewell to the two of them. In this world, there are some things that will not be fun if they are said out loud. Furthermore, even if you don't say it, when the time comes, you will still know. Hey, aren't you being too mysterious? You can't even say your name? The embroidered clothed man Chi Mu was dumbfounded. He's not sincere at all. The handsome man Ming Zhu immediately sentenced Yu Yang to death. After Yu Yang left, the two looked at each other and shook their heads. The handsome man Ming Zhu frowned. If a normal man frowned like that, he would probably have an awkward expression on his face. However, this Mingzhu prince did not do that. His frown was not ugly at all. It could even make people's hearts beat faster than the frown of many beauties. It was really strange. The embroidered clothed man Chi Mu also frowned as he thought bitterly for a long time. Suddenly, he clapped his hands. I got it, this brat, we seem to have met somewhere before. The handsome man Ming Zhu immediately denied it. Impossible, we have never met him before. Chi Mu asked back, then why do I feel a sense of familiarity? Ming Zhu immediately laughed coldly. Familiarity? Are you sure? Are you sure that we are not the same kind of idiot? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.